Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Apex Racing TV and welcome to the heartland of America, to Georgia to be precise, for round 9 and the final round of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge. In the commentary box tonight, it is me, Adam Muff, alongside Alex Simpson, iRacing Road Pro Series champion and former World Championship Grand Prix Series driver, and Chaz Dracos as well. Chaz, I'll bring you in. Road Atlanta, one of the quickest circuits we go to, and it's usually the final race of the season in most of the Ricmotech series. And with 3 classes, the Porsches, the Mustangs, and the Mazdas, we're going to have plenty to keep our eyes on, I think, in the endurance race that we've got ahead of us.
Yeah, it's going to be a really good race tonight, and obviously we're going to be keeping our eyes on the championships going into this final one. Should be good to see how it pans out for people. There's a lot of time for them to make the changes and obviously get the points they need to. So yeah, really looking forward to this, and what a track to do it on as well. Road Atlanta is a favourite of a lot of people on the iRacing servers. It's a very challenging track though. A lot of people, while they do enjoy driving it, it's always quite difficult to get a lap together all the way around, I've found. So yeah, it's a great place to be.
Yeah, set in Braselton, Georgia, just over 4 kilometres in length. We will find out how what it takes to get around this circuit now, courtesy of our track guide.
First winner at Road Atlanta was Vic Elford in his Chaparral 2J in 1970. Welcome everyone to Road Atlanta. Great to have you with us as we provide you your track guide in the Ford Mustang. And today we come to you from Braselton, Georgia, located just northeast of downtown Atlanta. This track was constructed in 1969 on 750 acres of farmland and quickly became a mecca for road racing, featuring legends like Peter Gregg in his 1976 BMW and the great Paul Newman. The first winner at Road Atlanta was Vic Elford in his Chaparral 2J in 1970. Road Atlanta lives on today, hosting major road racing events, including the Petite Le Mans race held here each year. This track is full of elevation changes, as you will see on our track guide around this 3.5-mile road course through the red clay hills of Georgia. We start our track guide coming down out of turn 11 into the final corner here. The starts of races across this start-finish line are very exciting, as you'll see coming into turn 1. Drivers will sometimes go 2-3 wide into this corner, trying to get that edge to come up this hill to one of the blindest corners on the track. Turn 2, still looking, there it is. Now into turn 3 to the right. Drivers will get a good quick run through here to head towards one of the most famous areas on the track, the S's. Down through this hill, back to the left, back to the right, hard on the brakes for this next uphill blind corner. Coming up out of 5 and down the straightaway. Short little straight, heading towards 6 and 7. 2 very important turns on the course. Want to get a good run through 6, get a nice wide entry to set up for 7. You want to get a good rotation here, get that good launch off this corner as this takes you down the longest straightaway on the track and the highest speed section of the track. Drivers in the Mustang will probably reach speeds of 130, 135 mile an hour on this straightaway. But coming down into the next section is so critical. Great overtaking opportunities here, as you do have slipstream on this straightaway. But 10A and B here are very tight. It's a real tight chicane. Got to get that nose to set at the bottom of the apex. Come back up out of the apex, up to turn 11 under the bridge here. Blind entry down the hill to turn 12, the final corner on the track, and back to the start-finish line. Very fast 3.5-mile course as we come down into turn 1 once again. That is your track guide for Road Atlanta. Thank you so much for being with us.
A helpful look there. It's what it will take for these 15 drivers to tackle Road Atlanta today. Welcome everybody to the final race of the season. It's been going on over most of the months of the year, but now we've finally reached the last race of the season. Porsche 911s, the Mustangs, and the Mazdas will be racing today. The winner will be getting 25 points. And looking at the championship standings as things stand, it is Mike Dam with a 1-point advantage, just the one. So it's going to be pretty close, this final race of the season. Just 1 point advantage over Brian Strodbeck in second place. And then further 39 points back to David Haynes in third. Mike Ruddock fourth with Russell Ruddock joint fourth with him. And then Kevin Ford sixth, TD Travis Davis seventh, Drew Eccles eighth, Gary Croft ninth, and Dominic Savicki in joint ninth with him. Looking at the live timing though, Chaz, we've only got 3 of the Porsches with us today. Mike Dam, Kevin Ford and Michael Ruddock. So even though the championship is very close going into this last race of the season, just the 1 point between Mike Dam and Strodbeck, don't expect any last race drama, at least for that championship anyway, because Mike Dam's main competitor isn't going to be here.
Yeah, it seems a shame that it's not going to get wrapped up with a big straight fight like that, but obviously that's the way sometimes with these things. I was just having a quick look myself at the GTS class. Obviously the Mustangs in this, I believe. Just trying to check what the situation is there. We've got Tyler Shiflett at the top of that standings there. He's got a 16-point lead over Nathan Thomas, and then Stephen Thomas is 27 points behind, joint with Clint Vigus as well. So there's a good fight for third place there between those two. They'll be wanting to see what they can get done.
I do need to interject as well, because obviously remember with the World Challenge rather than the Ricmotech Sports Car Series, more about the team championship than anything. So yeah, Driftline Racing from Motorsports and Team Street Survival in the GTS, as you were just sort of mentioning. So it's pretty close, and I think that may be kind of why in the GT Cup turn to Motorsports not here.
No, not here.
Yeah, which is a shame because it is quite close, but I do feel like Cryptology Orange have already got that kind of wrapped up. There's 41 points between them, and I'm double check points off the top of my head, but I think that kind of gets clear. So perhaps why they're not here, because it's all done and dusted on that front. But yeah, GTS does look quite tasty though.
Yeah, just the 13 points between Driftline and Mare Motor in that one. Driftline Racing made up of Steve Thomas and Mare Motorsports Tyler Shiflett. They'll be possibly alternating drivers during the evening because it is an endurance race meeting. And then moving over to the TCAs, which are the Mazda MX-5. So we've got 6 of them here today. Asprey Motorsports number 74, that's Travis Schwenke. He leads the way with a 10-point advantage over the Friday night's racing car. That is driven by Bobby Childs. Bit differing in qualifying at the moment. Schwenke leading the way there in the Mazda class with Childs in 5th. And then EV Paints in 3rd, just a further 19 points behind the Friday night's team. So you only get 25 for a win, though, we'll say, in the Ricmotech World Challenge. So I think it's probably just going to be between Asprey Motorsports and the Friday night's crew on who is going to be winning that one as we head down to the grid. It's a shorter grid than we're used to, at least on Apex Racing TV anyway, Chaz, with the likes of the BSR series and whatnot. So why don't you run us through it, the 15 cars that are going to be lining up at the start of this?
Well, as you see on the screen right now, then Mike Dam takes pole position for Cryptology Orange with Kevin Ford alongside him on the front row in the Ricmotech Motorsports white car. Michael Ruddock is the final Porsche on the grid with Flying Tortoise Motorsports there. And then Stephen Thomas leads the way in the GTS class for Driftline Racing. And Tyler Shiflett there in Mare Motorsports. Quite a nice team name there, quite like that. Jeff Jacobs is 6th on the grid with Team Street Survival. Forrest Landy is 7th with Buligan Racing. Chris Thorman for CT Racing is 8th on the grid with Justin Hall, rounding out the Mustangs in 9th for HJ Motorsports. Travis Schwenke, as you just said there, for Asbury Motorsports is 10th on the grid, leading his class with Eric Violet for EV Paints 11th. Robert Hartley for the Madhouse Racing team is 12th on the grid with Brandon Whitworth for No Hope Racing 13th. Hopefully 13 isn't unlucky for them today. Bobby Childs is 14th as well, as we just said, for Friday night's racing. Ryan Cobb, doublethel.com, brings up the rear of the field.
Brian will probably be the admin, will he, tonight? I might be wrong. So may well be down as the admin. That's why he's not set a time there, so yeah. I'm sorry to cut you off earlier as well, Chaz. I just thought, well, we need to make sure we mention teams part
no, it's all good.
of it.
It's what comes with not having a massive amount of experience with these series, I suppose. But that's the excitement of it for me. I mean, it's great to be joining you guys for this tonight. Really looking to see how this goes. I've done the Ricmotech Sports Car Series before, but obviously there's been a different kettle of fish with the Porsches being involved. It should be, I'm really looking forward to doing it.
So it's going to be a full pace lap around here, so it will give us another opportunity to check out this circuit. Road Atlanta very much unchanged, really, from where it first began. I think the only thing that's changed is the chicane towards the end of the lap. I remember watching a IMSA series race here back in the late 90s. Not live, obviously, but on the internet. And it was just a straight out blast through under the bridge and into the final two corners, really, before they added that chicane in. Quite a big crash on the front straight as well, probably why they ended up putting that chicane in. But coming into the first corner now, Chaz, and really that outside line is the racing line, really. And it's going to be interesting to see where the overtaking is going to be on this circuit, because most of the corners around here, as probably mentioned in the track guide, are pretty high speed. So you're going to have to think about where you can get it done without too much incident. Maybe the chicane, that's probably going to be the main overtaking spot here.
Yeah, you've got a lot of slipstream leading up to that chicane as well, so to try and get a move done on the brakes is usually the more favoured option. But you've got to think about this section down here as they're going through now, as we see the Porsches being led through by the safety car. It's quite a scary section, if I'm honest with you. When you're going downhill, then back uphill again, the grip sort of changes over the course of the few corners, because obviously when you get to the bottom of it, the car feels like it's really grippy, and then when you're going back up the hill, you think, yeah, this is all right, and then you go over the crest, and suddenly the grip's gone. And in such an important corner, it's quite a scary prospect no matter what car you're in. So, I mean, you've seen people do it before where they've got moves in down there. You've just got to be really ruthless about it. You've just got to stick your nose in and say, go on, I'll give you a run for your money, and hopefully do it from there. The corner that we're in at the moment, the little tight right-hander before the straight, is going to be very important as well. To obviously get a good run down towards the chicane we just mentioned. But there are always people trying to get it down the inside there as well. You can see on the track map there just how the classes are spread out. It's just to make sure that there's no sort of incidents or any sort of mix-ups between the two, well, with the three in this case. And well, there's a lot of places on this track where you can make decent manoeuvres, I'd say, but you've got to really be brave. I think that's what it's going to come down to. And I think in a longer race like tonight, we might not see that as much. So it might be a bit of mind games and obviously focusing on the long run.
Dear, well, we'll be looking forward to the pit stop strategy game too, Alex. It's always a case in the Ricmotech Sports Car Series. Same here in the Ricmotech World Challenge 2. We're expected to see the Porsches take on 4 tyres on the first stop. They may only take 2 tyres due to the on their last stop due to the hot track forecast for this week. But the pit stop strategy, I'll be one to watch out for as well.
Yeah, it always is. Races can be made or lost in the pit stop window. Here we go.
Here we go. Indeed, the 3 Porsches, Mike Dam, Kevin Ford, and Mike Ruddock, get the race underway here at Road Atlanta, and it looks like a great start by Kevin Ford. The man who started second on the grid in the blue car on the outside looks to take the lead into the first corner, but Mike Dam's back up the inside under the braking, and now over the top of the hill. Kevin Ford is just about going to take the lead. I'm sure Alex Simpson knows that corner well. First time we've brought it up today, but Ford leads them through the S's, and I'm sure the Mustangs have just got their race underway as well. Chaz.
Yeah, it looks like it's Stephen Thomas actually down the inside of Shufflet through turn 1. Just trying to have a quick look on the left here at my timing screen. And it's the 2 wheels there as they go over the curb. I imagine it's a bit of a frightening thing to do in these Mustangs, actually, because I'm not sure what they're like over curbs, but seem to get a good bit of air from it as we see the MX-5s going through turn 1 as well. That's going to be Schwenke from Hartley, Violet, and then you've got Childs and Whitworth as well there. Staying close together, obviously, for the first few corners there, also getting quite a good bit of air over those curbs. But in the MX-5, you've got to risk it, I suppose. If you want to get it round a lap quickly, you've got to think about momentum. It certainly is a momentum car.
It's a momentum track as well. Look at that.
There's some momentum.
Yeah. Oh, what a save.
Horizontal momentum.
Yeah. Don't know how he saved that, Eric Violet. The EV Paints car that started high up in the Mazda MX-5 class. Didn't hit anything, but I'm sure he won't be the last person to make that sort of mistake at the left-hander at the end of the S's, and he's lucky to get away with that. But he has now dropped a little bit back off the rest of the group, and he may just be out of the tow too. So they'll be trying to get back up to those guys as quick as he can. The Porsches have completed their first lap as well. Kevin Ford There he is. Sets the pace at the end of the opening lap of the race. Mike Dam in second. And then Mike Ruddock in third. That left-hander probably going to be the main talking point here because of the way the car gets pretty light over the top of the hill in all three classes.
Especially with them being rear-wheel drive as well, you've got to be very careful on the power. They all handle very differently to one another, but it's just as easy to lose the rear end in all three. I've not actually driven much of the Mustang, to be fair, so I'm not sure in terms of how much of a challenge that is, but I know this Porsche can catch you out sometimes. It does like to bite if you push it a bit too hard, and especially on the brakes as well, actually, it can be a bit unforgiving, but Ford, obviously at the moment, doing what he needs to do. Dan will be a bit gutted that he's lost the lead early on, but I'm sure that he's going to chase him all the way along. Just a note on Violet as well after that mistake. It's going to be interesting to see how he reacts to that, because in a long-run race like this, a lot of drivers can decide to change their strategies based on stuff that happens early on. It's just in the background there, Ruddock going the bit of grass tracking on the outside of the final corner. But yeah, as I was saying, it's going to be interesting to see how he reacts, because you can sort of mix up your strategy a bit depending on what goes on, but depends on what you had planned beforehand, I suppose, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Obviously, a half spin at the end of the S's wasn't a factor in the script, I'm sure, when he embarked on the race today. But we'll see what he can do as a result, as the three leaders in the GT Cup take very different lines through there. Mike Ruddock probably the most erratic. Here is the battle, though, between Brandon Whitworth and Bobby Childs. Childs fighting for the Mazda title, but for now, he's fighting for second last place with Brandon Whitworth here in the No Hope Racing car, number 42, trying to look to the inside. And meanwhile, Travis Schwenke, his championship rival, is in battle with Rob Hartley here as we come out of the chicane over the top of the hill. Rob Hartley, very experienced in this car. Drives it in the Sports Car Series and in the World Challenge too. Now coming through the final corner. And he'll be very experienced in the art of defending here from one of the best in the business in Travis Schwenke. Into the first corner. Different lines getting taken there too. Very quick indeed. Mike Dam has crashed, Alex, has he? He's dropped to third. He's vanished. And this could be something that we've seen before with Mike Dam. The curse of the internet potentially striking. It looks like he could be done, Alex.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. He's not shown on the mini-map or on the timing. He's showing us out on the tower. Yeah, so I think that could be what it is. Let's just have a quick look at exactly when Ruddock went past him. You should see the car just blink out, I would think. There he goes. Yep, just disappears. Oh.
Gutting stuff for Mike Dam there. It's just, we always say that it sort of simulates what would be like an engine. Oh, he's back. He is back there. Yeah.
Surprise!
Well, he's certainly keeping us on our toes tonight then. He's sort of making us focus, I suppose, as they come past the MX-5s down the straight now as if they're in reverse. That's just the speed of the Porsches. But you can see that Violet has caught back onto Whitworth and Childs here, so that might mix things up a bit for Dam. He'll be hoping that he had disappeared at this point when he's going to get up to these boys.
No more than anything, he'll be grateful that he's still connected, actually, because he was gone for a long time there.
Yeah, I would have thought he was a goner, really. One thing you can also, one of the Mazdas very close to ending up spinning out. You can also see that we've got a new feature for the battle graphic on the right-hand side. It's now set to relative, so that's what you see. If the times are in minus, it means the car is ahead, and the plus, it means that the cars are behind. So that's something new that our overlay super wizard Pascal has been looking at. You can see it here. We're looking at Travis Schwenke, and Rob Hartley is 0.5 of a second up the road as we go through the left hand at the end of the S.
I only learnt recently, actually, this week, that Robert Hartley is one of the highest I-rating drivers, highest rated drivers, sorry, in terms of I-rating in the world. I was speaking to someone else who knows Robert from many years of racing with him, and yeah, with the 9,500 plus I-rating, it's not surprising that he's up there with the big boys. But it's interesting to see the spread of I-rating, actually, when you do look down this field. Obviously, when it's in the league, it doesn't really have too much bearing on anything, because a lot of people tend to do leagues instead of the official stuff. But there is quite a spread, actually, across this field, and they all seem to be giving each other a good run for their money, so it's nice to see that.
And how often do you see that in leagues as well? You know, you've got 5,000 I rating driver against a 9.5k, or more. That's probably a bit of a. Perhaps should change that. A 3,000 I rating driver against a 9.5k or something like that, you know, and they can be close, you know, because they mainly do, you know, the 3,000 guy mainly does league racing, you know, so crazy how it works out sometimes.
I know that for a fact there's a few guys that do things like the World GT Championship, and they've got 3-figure I ratings. I think for a while actually, Matt Bunn's I rating in the Kia Club Series back in the day was under 900, and he was winning races and grabbing pole positions all over the place. So it just goes to show that it's not always representative when it comes to league racing. But we see right now then that Shiflett is right behind Thomas down the straight. Then you've got to think that he's going to go for a move here. Got the slipstream in this really, really quick Mustang in a straight line. Not renowned for its handling, of course. He's making him work for it, though. Oh, later on the brakes, still side by side. Takes quite a bit of curb. But now that means that Shiflett's on the inside. Thomas still gets a bit of a run, because obviously he's got the momentum on the outside, though. Still side by side into the final corner. That's brave round there from Thomas. Shiflett doesn't want to hit that curb too hard. Oh, it looks a little bit out of shape, but I think Thomas is going to have the run down to turn 1 on him.
Yeah, he very nearly lost the front there. Great view from the helicopter as he went through the final corner. And Stephen Thomas hits 4th place, hits the lead of the Mazda category. Tyler Shiflett will be right back onto the gearbox to try and get that back as we go through into the S's again. You can see that early connection issue hasn't hindered Mike Dam at all. He's just put in a new fastest lap of the race of 120.3. These Mustangs won't be doing anything near that. But they will still be going flat out as we go onto the vulnerable strips on the exit of the S's. That is still a pretty treacherous part of the circuit here. And Landy is making sure he stays with them as well. He's getting a nice, decent bit of tow too. Or he will when we get onto the back straight. 3-car scrap shows no signs of abating just yet. We just hope that it can continue for the majority of this race. As you can see from the lap counter at the top, it is a 2 hour and 15-minute race coming up today, and we are looking forward to seeing what unfolds during this one on Apex Racing TV. Thanks for joining us on this Monday evening. Tyler Shiflett then trying to take 4th place, or the lead in the Mustang class away, going into the chicane. Side's better of it, and you can see that they go underneath the access roads to the circuit there, going through the chicane. Thomas holds on to that position for now. On the subject of I ratings, I've got all 3 of the broadcasters' I ratings here for today, probably very differing. I'll start with mine. I'm on 1702 I rating for the road course, which I think is not too dissimilar to what Andrew Woodhouse, one of our other colleagues, has on the iRacing service. We'll move over to Alex Simpson, who has just under 6k, I believe. Alex, if I look at it correctly, I think that's
I had a couple of shocking races of last time out, and I think I dropped under 6k first time for a little while.
But then we move over to Chaz, and I think we're pretty much on the same here, 1640. So
I thought it was less than that.
There you go. I think I've just made your day a bit.
There we go. I'll take that. I think the peak I've ever had was about 1800, so I thought it was about 14 at the moment. So I'll take that any day. But something that these guys will take any day is these Porsches getting past them sooner rather than later, because they don't want them to interfere with the battle. But that is the battle for the lead, and it looks like Ruddock is tucked right up behind Ford now.
Indeed he is. See if he can get the lead away, the overall lead. We've got 2 battles for the lead in our GT Cup and our Mazda and our Mustang class. Ruddock looking to the inside into the chicane, but Kevin Ford, gotta say, must be very experienced. He's managed to keep the lead for now. Over the top of the hill we go then, plunging back down. Shades of almost the exit of Paddock Hill Bend there as we go through the final corner. Onto lap 9 of the race. You can see the lap times flashing up on the screen too. 22.9 for Ford, 22.8 for Ruddock. Look at Mike Dam, 22 dead. 8 tenths, almost a second quicker than the cars in front. Wonder how long it'll be before he starts to enter himself back into the fray here as we go through the S's.
Yeah, he's on an absolute flyer at the moment, isn't he? Damn, it's almost as if that connection changed his tyres for him and just sort of cleaned him up a bit. But he's certainly on a charge. He won't want to let these boys disappear into the distance. He's giving it everything over there as Ruddock. He's been really flamboyant tonight. Looks really good on track. But yeah, it's still Thomas ahead of Shiflett in terms of the Mustangs. So he's managed to carry on defending it then, which is always good to see. The slipstream doesn't make it easy around here. And it's certainly something in the Mustang as well, because it isn't it isn't obviously renowned for its handling, as I said before, so straight line speed is going to be important. Looks like Landy's dropped off a little bit from that, maybe held up by the Porsches as we go on board with Shiflett then down the straight.
Before we go, you can see we're in 4th gear. Top gear, I believe. There we go, we have a 5th. We have a 5th gear here. You can see Brandon Whitworth's also made a early visit to the pits. Don't know what that's all about, but here we go through the chicane. Clipping the curb on the inside, running out onto the exit curb as well. Both Shiflett and Thomas doing that. Gap remains at just about half a second as we go through the final corner. Mike Dam again quicker, you saw from the lap times on the left, than the rest of them. And you can also see how the lap times differ between the classes too. 121's getting done by the Porsches, 131's getting done by the Ford Mustangs. And we'll see in a moment what lap times the Mazda MX-5s are doing. But a good opening sector to this lap by Stephen Thomas. Now that he's got that position, he might just be about to start stretching his legs, because the gap is now gained to 8 tenths of a second going into... Oh, and that's a slide and a half by Tyler Shiflett in the Mare Motorsports car. Nothing more about that slide, and nothing more about that recovery, because that could have gone all sorts of pear shapes, but he was able to hold on to it and continue.
Yeah, he did a great job there. Certainly earned some style points, didn't he? But it takes a good bit of skill to hold onto a rear-wheel drive car on a slide, and he's shown us exactly why he's got the pace here, and he's got the car control. Doing a fine job at the moment, though, but he is going to hope that he can stay in the tow for Stephen Thomas, because it's going to be your worst nightmare around here, really, that your rival gets away from you. But look at Ruddock, he's absolutely on it, isn't he? In terms of like body language of a car, if you had to pick anyone that was being flamboyant and showing that they're truly on a charge, it is Ruddock. He's really launching that thing around. I'm sure the MX-5, that's number 8 car, Bobby Childs, will be grateful to see them get past in the S's section without issue.
Another purple for Mike Dam too. Getting ever closer. He's got to get past that Mazda though at some point, but this is really intriguing. What a race we've got in prospect here. Mike Dam is lapping so much quicker than these two guys, almost verging on a second difference in lap times between first and second and the car in 3rd place, and he's gradually getting there. The gap right now sits at 2.3 seconds between Mike Ruddock in 2nd and Mike Dam in 3rd. Mike Dam putting in another purple sector in the first, in sector 1. He is on it, and I wonder what they're going to be doing in a moment when they hit the beam for sector 2. Here is a replay of Jennifer McDonald, who has come up on our timing screens as having crashed. Team Street Survival car will hopefully live to fight another day, and that's a bump and run, NASCAR style, going through the double right-hander onto the back straight.
Yeah, it seemed like it just bunched up a little bit too much on the brakes. It is quite a tight little right-hander, and it's difficult to do because you do go over a slight crest there. You can't really tell from many of the external camera angles, but when you are on board with the car, you sort of climb up a little bit, and it does just dip over as you turn right, and it's quite hard. But if you have sort of overdone it a bit on the brakes, it's difficult to recover, and I think the car behind might have just about done that then. Obviously it wasn't intentional contact, but that's what you get when these guys are racing these closely. But you can see Ruddock absolutely going for it there. Runs a little bit wide into the S's, but there's sort of differing lines through there, and it can sometimes work out if you're wider into one and then you've got tight liners the next. Look how much he closed on the brakes there, but he's out further wide now, and that's going to bounce him out over the curbs on the exit.
Go then through the right-hander again. This is where Jennifer McDonald got hit earlier. Back onto the back straight again. Ruddock got a pretty decent run that time. Last time around again, Mike Dam 20.3. That was 0.6 of a second quicker than Kevin Ford. First sector was still quicker than them on this lap. 2 attempts getting taken out, but here comes Ruddock again. Looks to the inside, but Ford proving to be pretty late on the brakes, and you can see how much he attacks that left-hand part of the chicane. The wheels almost locking, almost getting up into the air, and that wasn't a good exit, because you can see Mike Ruddock closes up straight away going through the final corner. Over the timing line we go, and it's a 121.6 for Ford, 121.4 for Ruddock, 122.0 for Mike Dam. So that's a bit slower than them. Gap's gone up a little bit this time. As these two continue to squabble, though, surely it'll allow him to come in even one. Mike Ruddock was almost compromised going through that part of the S's, but he's still there. and the gap between second and third remains at 2.2 seconds. So in a bit of a stalemate here as Kevin Ford continues to set the pack front.
Yeah, it seems like Dan made a mistake in Sector 2 on that last lap, because these guys both did 23.6, 23.8, and he did a 24.7. This time round he's in a 23.5, so yeah, he's 1.2 seconds quicker in the middle of Sector 10 alone. There's big lock up there from Ford, and Ruddock got it sideways on the way in as well. That's going to help Dam out a lot. He's a bit wide on the exit, but you can see just how much that's spaced them out now as the gap goes just under a second, but you can see now gradually it's coming back down because of the slipstream that Ruddock's getting from Ford. Closing and closing down the straight. He's going to obviously want to try and close in on the brakes. Naturally, it will bunch up. Oh, he's just, you can really see that he's committing so much to that first part of the corner. He really is pushing that Porsche to its limits at the moment, and hopefully it comes good for him, but Ford's just doing everything he needs to do at the moment, and obviously Dam trying to get involved as well. But yeah, fair play for Ruddock. He is really, really trying, isn't he?
Trying everything, and Ford has done pretty well recently on the last lap. 121.2 from him. Ruddock, as you could see from what happened on that last lap, slightly slower. 121.8. Like Dam, 120.6. So he was over a second quicker than Ruddock on that last lap, and with this Mustang traffic, this is only going to exasperate matters. Gap is now down to 1.3 seconds between Ruddock in second and Dam in third. Ruddock senses it. He knows that Mike Dam's coming, and he's continuing to apply the pressure on Kevin Ford and looks at the inside going into the right-hander, but there is no way through there. And now he's going to have to try and see if he can get it done into the chicane, but Kevin Ford gets an impeccable exit from there. And the gap is now half a second going towards the chicane, so I don't even think the slipstream is going to be enough to try and get that down. It'd have to be a dive bomb of huge proportions for Ruddock to get up the inside into the chicane from here. Gonna have to hope he can close the gap back down around the rest of the lap and have a go again. And you can see that Mike Dam's getting closer because he has now entered the battle pack. Top three now there. 1.3 seconds between Ruddock and Dam. Half a second between Ruddock and Ford.
Yeah, it's getting nice and evenly spaced out now. And speaking of evenly spaced out there, that's what they're getting with traffic, and I think that's probably going to offer up more opportunities for them, because they're not coming up to one big group of traffic at one time. They're going to be just sort of coming across the odd one car. Oh, it's just on the exit there. And that was, I think, was that Jennifer McDonald there in the Team Street Survival car. She was the one that got spun around earlier. Oh, Ford is wide there as well. That's going to help Ruddock because he was a bit compromised by the Mustang. He's got a really good line through there now, and he's going to get a bit of slipstream down to the double right-hander. Whether he can get it done here or whether it's worth waiting until he's on the straight, we'll have to see. It's all in his head right now. He's got the power, so to speak. Let's see what he does with it. Seems to run a little bit wide, misses the apex, but he's got a really good exit there. Actually, it seemed quite smooth. It's just that gap's just opened up a bit again, hasn't it? Ford just seems to get it right every time out of there.
He's much closer than he was a while ago, though. The gap is just 0.2 coming into the chicane. Having a little look, it's obviously not the be-all and end-all at this point of the race, because let's just remind ourselves that we have just got under an hour and 55 minutes to decide all this. And we'll now have a look at our Mazda MX-5 leaders. This is Travis Schwenke leading Rob Hartley. Hartley in the Madhouse Racing team. And he's currently just about keeping Travis Schwenke honest at the moment. Gap between them just 3/4 of a second. So they're doing a good job at the moment. Bobby Childs and Eric Violet obviously nowhere near. Violet's coming to the pits. He pitted on lap 9. These guys are now on their 11th lap. Sorry, their 12th lap. They're just currently circulating their 12th lap. So a few laps ago, Eric Violet came in. 34-second stop. So not too sure if that was a scheduled one or not. But we will see the strategies unfold over the course of the evening here in the Ricmotech World Challenge. And Chris Tolman has also been in. It looks like it was just a pass through the pit lane. I'm guessing, Alex, that was in relation to the contact that he had with Jennifer McDonald. A drive-through penalty probably made sense for that.
Yeah, I agree. Makes perfect sense. It was avoidable contact, wasn't it? So
there we go. Yeah, and he's come out at the back. He's 34 seconds behind Jennifer McDonald, so I guess the punishment fitting the crime a little bit there. Branson Whitworth has just come back out of the pits. The No Hope Racing car looking a little bit damaged here. Eric Violet's apparently crashed too. Here's a replay of Eric Violet, car 98. It's just crashed apparently. This is the S's. It's the corner we've been talking about all evening. Oh!
Oh, that's going to get your heart rate going. That's not good when all four wheels come off the ground over a curb, is it?
Car looks done as well, doesn't it? I think. Crabbing massively. We go on board. Look at that. Yeah, I think that's going to be Eric's day done.
Real shame that is for Violet as well. We saw him obviously make a bit of a mistake early on, and yeah, it's not improved for him, unfortunately. But that's how quickly these races can be taken away from you, though. One little hop over a curb and one bit slightly too wide out of a corner, and yeah, it can put you in the wall with devastating consequences, and it'll end your day. But you can see right now, Hartley seems to be a bit close to the back of Schwenke compared to the last time round. Don't think the traffic really there of Whitworth came into play that much. But this battle is most definitely still on, Adam.
Definitely is. Through the final corner we go then, over the line, onto lap 14 of the race for these guys now. And it's just 1/10 of a second between them. On the previous lap, Schwenke doing a 35.1, 34.2, being done by Rob Hartley there. In particular, the time was definitely made up through the third and fourth sectors here. Now into the S's again. See the lap times continuing to be set by the leaders at the front. They're not going to be too far away from these guys in a few laps' time from putting them a lap down. I have to say it's pretty well done by those guys to do as well as they have done at the moment. You can also see on the track map that they flash up in red. Problem for Mike Ruddock. He is no longer in second place. And that's why he's spun, he's in the wall, and he might have taken one of the Mustangs with him. That looked to be our Mustang leader as well, Stephen Thomas. So drama unfolding here. The pace setter in the Porsches taking out the pace setter in the Mustangs. Chaz, talk us through it.
Oh, he's just lost it on the way in. There's no way that he's going to correct it again. Thomas just gets tipped by the rear end, and you can see he just tries to correct it there, but that contact with the wall can be really, really damaging for the car. It was a hefty hit against a solid concrete barrier there. But it just seemed like he hopped the curb a little bit too much, actually, did Ruddock. And it's easy to do in that Porsche because you can under-rotate the inside wheel and the whole thing will just go around, and they carry so much momentum that the aerodynamics stop affecting it, and there's very, very little you can do. You can see the front of that Mustang is just very unhealthy right now. But that means that this man then, Tyler Shiflett, leads the climb. I'm sure he'll be very happy about that. Obviously not the best circumstances for a battle to be decided, but that's racing and that's multi-class racing. It happens, and yeah, he's going to be reaping the rewards of that one, I'd say.
Yeah, it's a fortuitous lead for him, but you've got to be there in those situations, and he's definitely pounced, and he's got the lead for now. Ruddock's had to come into the pit lane as a result, and what a shame for Mike Ruddock, really. Partnered up with his brother Russell Ruddock, or is it? I think it is a brother duo, and yeah, that's going to set them back a little bit now. I think the win is probably out of the question for them. They'll probably be just trying to end the season on the best possible way with what they've got. After all of that, you can see Mike Tam negotiating his way through the traffic successfully. Those are the two leaders in the Mazda MX-5s getting lapped. And the gap between Mike Tam and Kevin Ford is now, I believe, 2 seconds. So we'll see if Dan
father and son?
I think it's not. Yeah, I think it's one of the two, isn't it? I keep forgetting every week. I think it's father. And, should be father and son.
Father and son. Yeah.
Just hope it's not brother and sister.
Oh, we go. There will be a massive trouble. I know it's definitely not that. I think so. Sorry if it is. But lap 19 of the race, Rob Hartley versus Travis Schwenke. This is definitely not any sibling rivalry going on here. But this is a battle for the lead of the Mazda MX-5 class.
Gonna have to throw it to an advert break. Just literally had a bit of an error pop up on the screen. So we'll take this opportunity to go to see what's going on over at the Ricmotech guys. So we'll be back in just a second.
Are you a fan of the Ricmotech World Challenge? Now is your chance to show off your favorite Sim Racing World Challenge by visiting our online store. With clothing and apparel for women and men in all sizes, merchandise and gift items like coffee mugs, laptop skins, mouse pads, and many more items to display your passion for sports car sim racing. Visit us today at ExtremeMotorsports99.com and click on the online store button. Thank you for watching and supporting the Ricmotech World Challenge.
We're back here at Road Atlanta. Thanks to the guys at Ricmotech as ever for supporting both the World Series and the World Challenge and the Sports Car Series. And one thing you will notice is that the lead has changed hands in the Mazda MX-5s. So that is important, and it means now that Rob Hartley leads the way, Chaz Draycott, with the Madhouse racing car setting the pace with Asbury Motorsports, the championship leader Travis Fenke, now keeping a watchful eye in second. But not only that, as the Porsche lead has now come down too. It's now under a second as Mike Dam puts in a purple Sector 1 and a purple final sector in his pursuit of the lead.
Yeah, it's really hotting up here. These battles aren't spreading out or dissipating at all. It's really good to see. Obviously a bit of a smaller field with a couple of drivers per car. But yeah, these boys are still putting on a cracking show, and especially in these Porsches as well. They're absolutely flying around. Shame for Ruddock to run into issues, but at least Dam and Ford are still getting on with it and giving it a good go. I mean, Dam's been absolutely rapid so far, catching up to him, but these guys as well in the MX-5s still putting on a good show. Hartley just got the move done down the straight, just used the slipstream to his advantage, and then outbroke Schwenke onto the left-hander part of the chicane, the first part of it. But yeah, he's not getting away from him though. The slipstream is very powerful in the MX-5s, as we see in the BSR MX-5 series on Tuesdays. And it's good that they're still using that to their advantage down here.
Into the chicane we go then, and yeah, this battle for the lead is currently still pretty close. One thing we have noticed in recent World Challenge races is that we get this up until the first round of pit stops, but then when they take place, it then really spreads the Mazda field out, and then it doesn't really close up again. So hopefully that is different today. Travis Fenke, since he lost the lead, has put in a pretty good lap time. He put in a new personal best, in fact, 34.5. It's still not as quick as Rob Hartley's last lap time of 34.4. Don't know whether that was set with an off-track included, because I'm not too sure about that. But yeah, this is a fantastic scrap for the lead in the third of the three classes. If you're just turning on or just tuning in here this evening, we've got the Porsche 911s racing. They're the top class with Kevin Ford and Mike Dam competing there. And then we've got 5 Ford Mustangs. And then we've currently got 3 Mazda MX-5s racing at the moment. And you can see some of the different classes in the same shot, with the Mustang there of Justin Hall trying to get past. But here is the battle for the lead then. 0.3 of a second, make that 2 between Kevin Ford and Mike Dam going through the end of the S's and towards the double right-hander onto the back straight, Chaz. And Mike Dam has been pulling in the laps but hasn't got there until now. It's going to be up to Kevin Ford to try and put up a solid defence after just over half an hour's worth of racing.
Yeah, he's certainly been defending well so far. We saw Ruddock giving it absolutely everything to try and get past him, but he's just been controlling the pace at the front so far. But Dam obviously put it on pole, and he's going to be showing that he has that sort of pace over a lap to beat Ford here. But we have to always revert back to the same quotation from our beloved Murray Walker, that catching's one thing, but getting past is quite another. And I know that Ford's going to make Dam work for it. He got really, well, he cut the first part of that chicane quite heftily there. He'd be, well, I was thinking he might get a slowdown, but he hasn't. He seems to have got away with it. So, oh, he's absolutely going for it. You see the lovely popcorn physics, as they call them, from iRacing there. Loads of grass getting churned up and bits. There's big lock up from Ford into turn 1, and maybe Dam's starting to rattle him a bit here with his pace.
Over the top of the hill, downshifting to 4th. Using the downshifting to slow the car down as well. Obviously going uphill will do that, but that will do that too. Remember that from one of my driving lessons, in fact, a few years ago. Through the left-hander, riding over the inside curb. Now on their way towards the double right-hander again. Speaking of driving tests, Chaz, did you pass first time?
I did indeed, but I got my license revoked after 6 months.
Really?
Yeah, and after a, well, let's just say a disagreement with the law, which I'm not entirely proud of, but it's one of those things you got to laugh at when you get to it. Went back and then passed it again with no minors, so I was, yeah. And obviously, if you don't know what a minor is, it's what they call just a minor, well, like a sort of minor mark against you. You get minors and majors over here, so it was nothing at all flawless, as they called it, but that's me blowing my own trumpet. But oh, someone that will be blowing his own trumpet after that save is damn, that was really out of shape coming out of the chicane. He was really close to Ford that time round because of the traffic, but just couldn't get it done. I'm sure he's going to be hoping that, well, that comes into his benefit now. Next time they do come across any slower cars, obviously they've just flown past Hartley and Schwenke there as if they weren't there. And this battle still rages on, and so does the MX-5 lead battle there as well.
I have to say, I had some disagreements with the law as well in my early years of the of driving, but they never nabbed my license, I have to say. So it's still to this day squeaky clean. But yeah, certainly shouldn't be.
Probably need
you're honest.
Yeah, totally have a situation. Yeah, I'm also in the no minors club. However, yeah, my run-ins with the law include not paying for my tickets on the tram. But sorry, Metrolink. but if you're watching, yeah, I'm sure one of these lot will be hoping for a ticket to Victory Circle here. Good segue. 35 minutes in, and Kevin Ford and Mike Dam. Don't know why I'm saying that way around, but lock up there. Kevin Ford locking the inside left front tyre. And the gap remains at half a second. But one thing we have noticed is that if you make a fraction of a mistake in these Porsches, that you do tend to lose 1 or 2 tenths, and that can be pretty crucial in a circuit where you've really got to be right on the car's bumper if you want to get an overtake done around here.
Yeah, you've got to be constantly on the back of your opponent, and it is, like you say, it's a track where it's quite easy to slip up, and you can lose those vital tenths, and you just really have to be quite sort of masterful with your close racing. You can see Dam there taking a bit of a tighter line through these S's, but he's just really committing to it, and it's helping him in the long run. But you've just got to risk it in a car like the Porsche, because there is that sort of extra bit of lock you can always put on, but that brings with it the risk of over-rotating the car. But you can see just how much he's closed up to Ford in that first section. So hopefully if he keeps it neat through this right-hander now, as they're both on the brakes, oh, he goes a little bit wider, doesn't quite get to the apex, but it seems a little bit out of shape. We've seen Ford get out of that corner so well all night, and he's done it once again, but I don't know whether that gap's going to be enough.
Wait and see. His 2 tenths may just go under into just a 1/10 of a second gap, but even then it's not close enough to get a move done into the chicane. The Porsches go in there at such a quick speed, and again, Kevin Ford locks that left front tyre as he goes through the left-right section under the bridge, and now through the right-hander. I've crashed so many times in various different games over the years. 121 dead for Ford, 120.9 for Dam. Last time around, before that, Ford put in a new personal best. So slightly off that this time around. And a little blink there for Ford too. Showing things aren't totally perfect in the world of online racing here. As we go through the S, they have lapped everybody.
Sorry, Adam. Just so do you remember when we got that little teaser just to flat spot tires and things like that? Those little pictures subtly left on Dave Kamer's desk and things like that they slide into there, and yeah, that was about 4 years ago now. And yeah, I have to say, that would if we had that feature included, that really would be hurting Kevin right now, because he definitely would have flat spotted that tire. Quite interesting. I mean, to some degree, obviously, we get tyre temperature build up, so the very next corner you go into, you notice it. But yeah, it's not quite the same. So I wonder, when are we due a new tyre model? 3 years ago? 2 years ago? But in real terms, what we expect, was there news that we were expecting another one sometime in the next build or two? Can't remember now.
Is it just a hashtag soon, I think?
Well, it's always hashtag soon. But yeah, I thought they genuinely said that there was going to be some cars we're going to have the updated one, because there was a can't remember what forum thread I saw it on. Perhaps the NASCAR one where they were all moaning about the tyre model on there, as they like to do.
NASCAR people don't moan.
Yeah, this is true. No over ones. But yeah, I'm sure they did mention. They said, look, you know, we've got a few cars, but we're working on the new tyre model. And it's going to be a lot better with the heat and all that sort of stuff. But I still don't know about flat spots and stuff. But that needs to be a feature we need in iRacing. I think it's been long overdue now.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. I think with the fact that obviously they do. I mean, let's be honest. They do an amazing amount of work, and what they do bring out is fantastic content. And it's obviously difficult for them to constantly update it all. But at the same time, when they are putting so much work into something like a tire model, for example, you would think that they would sort of try and put something, even if it's just a visual for now, and then obviously you'd think they'd work on the actual physics of it. Oh damn! Just on the brakes there, it looks like he clipped the outside line a little bit. They just turned the rear end on him, but seems to have helped him out actually, really, down the as they go down the hill into the final corner. But I was just about to say, you'd think they'd work on the physics of it first before obviously adding in nice little visuals in, but. Yeah, I agree that the flat spots do need to come sooner rather than later. Hopefully not for these guys.
Yeah, I just want to feel it, you know. I just want to feel it through the wheel, you know.
I think you get that in some F1 sims. Oh, damn, all that shape there over the right-hander. I think there's an F1 sim, or I can't remember exactly which one it is. I think some R-Factor mods had it where you did get flat spots, and you could feel it through the force feedback.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's pretty standard on R-Factor too. So, yeah. I'm not too sure about the likes of Assetto Corsa and Project Cars. Never really run them. Don't know if anybody else has out there that might be watching on the chat. Just let us know.
You can see the Porsches now flying past the MX-5s. That's just an amazing difference in the power and just the overall speed of these cars, even compared to the Mustang look. I mean, the Mustang's not slow in a straight line by any stretch of the imagination, but these Porsches just, there you go. It's just a crazy difference. But Dam is really trying. He keeps dropping back that little bit every now and then, just making slight mistakes. Another lock-up from Ford there. They're both just really pushing hard, aren't they, Adam?
Really are. Just to go back on what you were saying, a lot of stuff coming to iRacing must be said as well. We've got 2 new tracks coming. The Charlotte Roval, that didn't take any time at all, did it? It made its debut on the NASCAR calendar a few weeks ago, and now it's going to be on the sim from December. So just under a month away, as Dam doesn't take the best line going through there. You can see the tyres locking up too. Both of these drivers are definitely going at it. Ford, about the last half a dozen laps, has been locking that inside left front tyre going into the chicane, while Mike Dam has been putting in fastest lap after fastest lap in his pursuit of getting to the lead. Bobby Childs, you can see at the bottom, has come into the pit lane to make, with 41 minutes gone in the race. As Kevin Ford again locks the brakes to make what I'm guessing will be a scheduled stop. He locks them again. Looking ragged here. Kevin Ford in his pursuit of victory, trying everything he can to keep Mike Dam behind. Just looking at sectors by sectors, Dam was 2 tenths quicker in Sector 1. Sector 2, he was slightly slower. They're going to lap another Mustang, but the gap remains at 3 tenths of a second. So, without a shadow of a doubt, Mike Dam will not have a look at the inside from there. But it's around the rest of the lap where he seems to be gaining that time. He just needs to translate that into an opportunity into the chicane, because apart from there in turn 1, that's where it's getting pretty close.
I feel like Mike's being very patient here. It looks to me like I think if he really wanted to, he could go for it. Definitely feel like he could make a move, but it just looks to me like he's biding his time, saving his fuel. We always see this in the Ricmotech series. The driver's very patient and will basically wait to the pit stops times and see if they can get their break, and then kind of go from there. So yeah, I feel like this is what Mike's doing again out there.
Yeah, he's doing a fine job of it as well. It's a good display of patience, like you say. A lot of drivers, and even sort of total series worth of drivers, can learn from this. I mean, I know that they don't always operate on the same sort of longer races, but even when you get, say, like a 20-minute sprint race, for example, or even like a 15-minute sprint race, you still have to know when is the right time to make a move. You can't go for it at every single opportunity. Sometimes you just got to think about it over the course of a lap, even, as opposed to the course of a race. It can be that sort of that short, as we see Hartley and Schwenke then getting overtaken once again by these Porsches, screaming by.
Oh, no.
Beautiful sound of the flat sixes down the straight. Sounded absolutely brilliant, those Porsches. I remember first hearing it when it came onto iRacing, and yeah, it took everyone by surprise on New Year's Day. I think it was 2 years ago now, wasn't it? New Year's Day 2017. So yeah, it's been around a lot longer than you'd think, the Porsche Cup car. And
Remember the
speaking
days?
of the car, sorry, go on.
I was going to say, I remember the days of the rough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's changed, hasn't it? I was almost worried then for a moment when they were going past him on the back straight that Travis Fenke was going to duck out and have a go at Rob Hartley. Then we've had a mother of all incidents there. But two good battles going on for the lead. It was a shame that the battle for the lead in the Mustangs was jeopardised when Mike Ruddock collided with
Stephen Thomas, wasn't it?
Thomas. Yeah, I was just trying to find him on the screen, but it looks like the driver changes happened there. With Brandon Whitworth getting, with Nathan Thomas getting into the Driftline racing car. Then we would have had battles for the lead in all three of the classes with 44 minutes gone. But, now we've got the two classes going at it. Mike Dam and Kevin Ford separated by just under 2 tenths, while Hartley and Schwenke are just separated by 4 tenths. So we've got all the ingredients for an exciting race ahead, as we have got an hour and a half to go here. So we've got just the distance of a Ricmotech Sports Car Series endurance race to go in the final race meeting of the season, round 9 of the Ricmotech World Challenge. Some little hints getting dropped about what's going to be happening next season in this championship. The drivers are going to be informed after the broadcast tonight about what's happening. Some interesting things getting thrown about in terms of the rumour mill. But yeah, make sure you can join us next year when the series will be back, and it will be here on a Monday night on Apex Racing TV.
Yeah, it should be exciting to see how the series changes. It's always good to sort of have a bit of a mix-up in terms of rules and things that you apply to a championship. It's always exciting when you get to that first round, and even as a commentator, obviously you want to see how it's going to go. The fans want to see how it's going to go, and obviously the drivers want to see how it's going to go. They're the people that are thrown into the mix to see how it all works out. And yeah, I mean, for everyone involved, it's always a nice prospect to have. So yeah, really looking forward to what it can do, and hopefully I'll be commentating on a couple of them next time round as well.
Indeed. Yeah, thanks for everybody that's been viewing this season. Especially those in Europe or elsewhere that have had to get up to watch this. Fans of the series, and we're enjoying what we've got here tonight as well at Road Atlanta. What we don't have in terms of numbers, we have definitely got on the quality of racing here, because we are right on the edge of our seats in terms of what is happening here. Schwenke, can he get that gap down to 2 tenths of a second? He is, and just like Alex was saying earlier, I'm sure that Schwenke is biding his time too in terms of trying to get by. Can't get by on track, maybe wait for the pit stops and see if the strategy can do the work. And I'm sure we're not too far away from the first round of stops happening in all three classes. Some of the Mazdas have already taken the opportunity to pit. Bobby Childs has been in, 41-second stop for him. Eric Violet also in. Of course, he had that damage that he picked up earlier on in the race. He's been in fact, he's been into the pits 3 times. Russ Ruddock and Brandon Whitworth also coming in. So don't think we had too much in the way in terms of scheduled pit stops. But as we approach the hour mark, starting to see them filter in to get that necessary fuel and maybe some tyres as well, because from what I saw on the note, it is although it may not look it, it is quite a warm day in Georgia.
Yeah, it's always good to obviously consider the considerations. I was going to double myself up there. The conditions when you get into these events, especially when it's a longer race, because you have to even consider the whole strategy in terms of tyres and how it's going to affect it. As Ford and Dan both come in the pits, then they've just popped up on the timing screen on the left. We get a little yellow square, and you guys can obviously see on the tower on the left says pit lane. 2 different lines through the pit lane, which you wouldn't think would make that much difference. Maybe a little bit of mind games. If I'm going to do this, you're going to do that. We'll have to see how these pit stops go for these two as the Mustangs filter through once again. Ford pulls into his pit box, and I think they're one behind another actually. And Dam actually is the car in front here. Obviously, he put it on pole position, so his pit is a little bit further down. It should go up for tyres. I'm not sure whether it'll animate it if it's other people's cars. I think it usually does.
Yeah, I should do. I think we'll see here if there's any difference in strategy or whether they're both going for something very similar.
Might be putting the fuel in first as well, actually. That might be. There you go. There goes Ford, and he's gone up a good sort of second or so before Dam does. Let's see what the difference is in terms of them coming back down to ground.
Oh, Hartley and Svinky, and they're in as well, low in the background.
Yep. Brilliant stuff. It's all happening at once then in the pit lane. It's become a hive of activity. You can see that Hartley's car just going up a little bit earlier than Schwenke's there. It's taking a while to get these tyres changed on these Porsche. Ford is down and he's away. Dam is down as well. That's pretty much as they went in. Let's see what happens here with Schwenke. Schwenke's down. Hartley's
the fuel
car,
we're waiting for, yeah.
Yeah, it's the other way around with these. They get the tyres, then the fuel. Hartley's car went up for tyres before Schwenke's, though, actually, and then came down after his, so that's quite interesting that there is that much variation. I was never sure, actually, how much it varied in terms of tyres and how long they took to put on. And they pretty much leave identically as well. But that would mean, then, that Schwenke's actually gained that in the pits, wouldn't you say? I think Hartley came in before him, didn't he? Because Schwenke was trying to get the gap down earlier, so that would mean that he's taken the lead from that. Brilliant stuff.
Yeah, nice.
It's actually Rathje that's taking the lead in that class at the moment. But one thing I was just considering then actually is Ruddock. He's down in 12th. He's got running again. Not sure what the car's going to be like behaviourally, sorry, in terms of damage if there's anything lasting from the accident before. But he's obviously going to have had a pit stop already, so he's out of sync in terms of the pit stops with the other guys, and maybe he can try and make it last longer and get back through the field. But you've got
to in the pits for 13 minutes though, so
that's very true actually. Yeah, that's probably the one thing I should have thought about when I opened my gob there.
fair few laps down, and of course Rathje changed into the car as well from Svenke, so a bit of a driver change going on there. So Tom's going to have to duke it out with Hartley until the next stint.
Is Dam coming back in again?
He has.
He is. Is that going to be? Has he got a speeding penalty?
Speeding on exit. It looks like.
Yeah.
If he had sped on entry, there you go, stop and go, and away he goes. If it had been a speeding on entry, he would have had to serve it in his first pit stop, so he must have sped away. Trying to keep up with Kevin Ford, and he's now paid the price. He's now got 25 seconds to try and close back up again. He's clear. Oh, that's not going to help either. Stuck behind a Mazda. We have seen tonight, though, Chazzy is the quickest driver on the circuit. He was pumping in.
Nothing. That was perhaps a bit of rashness from Mike there. Yeah. He was held up. Didn't want to be held up at all. And, unfortunately, who was the MX-5 driver that he made contact with? Bobby Charles. Yeah. Charles, he's okay. He's still out there. But, yeah, that was just a bit of impatience from Dam, really. Kicking himself, I'm sure, after the penalty. And, it's affected Charles's race somewhat. Unusual mistake from Mike. Normally, very, very patient driver. You wouldn't see that, but you could just see he was itching at the bit to get by through the S's, and just wasn't enough time.
Yeah, it's interesting to see that you can sort of read that body language from the car and just how someone's driving it, but I'm totally with you on that. He made it very clear that he wanted to get on with it and get by. I mean, you can see just by his line through there, he's really pushing now to try and make up that gap. He will be kicking himself, as you say, but that just didn't need to happen. I mean, Childs will be fuming, but yeah, he
may get another drive-through penalty here, though. This is the thing. That mistake might totally cost him the race. So I think he showed enough pace early on after he had that little glitch that he probably could have caught this 28 seconds up with the time that's remaining. It had been close, but I think he might well have been able to hunt down Kevin. Because like I say, we were sure he was being patient earlier on. But if he gets a drive-through, if the stewards look at that and say that he was at fault, which I have to think that they're going to put that blame on Mike there, because just a bit of patience and it wouldn't have happened at all. And he's not gonna be able to catch up.
If you go about it, if you go about it in the way of, was it an avoidable collision? Probably was, and therefore he probably will be getting a penalty to go with it. I wouldn't have said it was out of a question of Mike Dam closing the gap back up again. We'd seen so far tonight how quick he has been, putting in the fastest laps. At some points, he was almost a second lap quicker than Mike Dam. So if he doesn't get a penalty, I wouldn't rule him out of still getting back up there. But if he does get a penalty for the collision, then it's really going to set him back with just over an hour or so to go here. Here is Forrest Landy. Now, he is currently the leader in the Mustang class. He's yet to pit. Him and Chris Tormund are the two Ford Mustangs that have not made a tour through the pit lane as things stand. In the Booligan Racing Ford Mustang, days out this time. Alex Coffard, you can also see on the timing towers coming to the pits. Clint Vigus is now aboard the Meh Motorsports car. Now that Tyler Schiffler has decided to get out of after that first stint. And there he is, sat in 5th. Should inherit the lead once 2 cars in front made their stop.
Jeff Jacobs into the car as well for his first stint of the day for Team Street Survival. And obviously you did mention Alex Coffard into the car as well. Of course, it's his first stint as well for HJ Motorsports.
It's interesting to see now that the obviously the pit stop shaking things up a little bit. Some teams may have a bit quicker stops compared to others. Just looking down the timing screen, it seems to only be a couple of seconds either way, but obviously that can all add up as we see Ford there going past Tom Rathje, just disappearing off into the distance within seconds. We look back at a replay then of Hartley and Rathje together, as Hartley has got ahead here, and at the moment the gap is 1 second, so he might have just got lucky. There is a Porsche closing very quickly at this point. Wonder whether that had anything to do with it. It was Ruddock. No, he's not going to go for anything from there. Hartley just gets it done. And through he goes. And he seems to be just running away straight away there. He just gets a really good exit. And he's cleared him quite quickly there.
I think that comes down to the fact that it's probably Tom's second lap in the car. And you know what? It just takes a few laps, doesn't it, to build up a pace. You just cannot get on it. And I don't know about you guys, but in the endurance racing, whenever I jump in on the car, it takes me a good 5 or 6 laps, you know, to really get up to full speed, because you don't want to go out there first lap and mess it up, crash it, because you're all a bit cold, a bit rusty, and then just a few laps just to build into the sort of the slight alterations in the track, compared to perhaps what you might have done a little bit of testing with. Oh, Hartley, very much out of shape. But and then of course if you come in against a driver that's already done a complete stint, you know, sometimes you're like, geez, how they getting this pace, and you slowly build up into that rhythm after sort of 5-10 minutes, and you know you're there as well.
Yeah, I agree. From doing the Daytona 24 hours earlier in the year, it is certainly something where no matter, even if you've done a stint before that as well, actually I found that it was still difficult to get back on pace again. And I think Rathje's just had a few laps like that. I mean, he's not that far behind Hartley now, to be fair. I mean, the gap's actually come down. It was even closer a moment ago. So he's going to be hoping that the slipstream can help him out. And that's really been the main contributing factor here that's kept this battle going, I think. These guys are very closely matched in terms of pace, but the slipstream's been the great equaliser in it all.
Yeah, completely. There's just, just look at, what was that, half a second down that back straight, caught back up. So that's a lot of time to have to try and pull away through the rest of the lap, where we're thinking this MX-5, a lot of it's going to be relatively flat out as well, you know? So, through the Estes, I think, does it have enough pace to really warrant getting out of it? I don't think it does. So, it's going to be difficult to build.
As you see Dam coming past once again, flying down the inside, and off he goes. Still chasing down Kevin Ford for the race lead. The gap is down to 25 seconds, I've got it showing as on my screen.
Yeah, same here. So he is cutting that into that lead relatively quickly. I haven't seen anything pop up on my screen or anything like that about the penalty. So he's not come in. So it's either not been investigated, or or he's got away with it,
or he's ignoring him.
Remember Rob Huff doing that once in a World Touring car race that just ends up getting black flags in the end.
He did actually, yeah. I was trying to remember that when you said Rob Huff. I was just trying to picture it, but yeah, it was
Osherslave. Yeah, Osherslave.
Yeah, I think it was, yeah.
Don't know why that popped into my head, but yeah, I remember Schumacher ignored a black flag as well. Ended up just going for his 5-second stop and go. 1994 at the British Grand Prix. There's a book actually coming out on the 1994 F1 season with some interesting viewpoints on what the Benetton team did that year. Looking forward to that one. That's coming out soon.
Yeah, that should be an interesting read. It's always good to look back into the archives of information about previous seasons in any motorsport, really, especially when there's.
Sam's in.
Oh,
there you go. There's that penalty. You knew it was coming.
Real shame, to be honest. I mean, like we said, it didn't have to happen. But when you're in the sort of when the red mist descends and you're in the moment, we all know that we can make decisions that we probably. I mean, if you're Dammy, you're obviously going to regret that one. It did sort of ruin his race a bit. He does obviously have quite a long time to get back into it. You never know, something might happen to Ford along the way. But obviously, as a spectator and as a commentator, you don't want to hope for that. Yeah, if you're Dam, then you will do, of course. But yeah, it's still plenty of time to go as we're just about to reach the hour mark, actually, just 15 seconds short of that. So an hour and 15 to go, lads.
Now, so we have had pit stops in the Mustangs as well, but Forrest Landry still leads the way. So that driver change, I think, that we had for our leaders before, has obviously pushed them back just a little bit.
Indeed, it has. Yeah, 22.7 seconds. Sorry, Chaz, for Forrest Landy in his stop, compared to 35.9 for Vigas, 31 for Jeff, and Torman and Coffard doing 32s and 43s in their stops. So obviously he is either doing something canny with the fuel or with the tyres, and it's got him that track position.
I think it is just down to the driver change, to be fair, because Clinton Vigas, as we look at him now, is taking over from Shiflett then. So it might actually add a little bit more time on. And I'm not sure, actually. I was trying to find it earlier when we were discussing that there was driver changes, whether it is actually mandatory or not. I'd imagine it would be. But I'm not sure whether all of them have two drivers or not, actually. I don't
think they do all have two drivers. Something that was talked about right at the start when they sort of, I think we did the test race kind of thing. So yeah, I'm not 100% on that as well, so apologies.
In terms of the tyres getting changed, I think there's not. They are required to take 4 tyres on at least one stop, so don't have to do it here. They could do it later on in the race, but may only take 2 tyres on their last stop due to the hot track forecast for this week. Mustang drivers will be taking 4 tyres on the first stop, then probably 2 on the last stop. It looks like for the Mustangs and the Mazdas, it is not required for them to take 4 tyres on a particular stop. I think that rule is just enforced in the Porsche class. Should mention also that the Porsches are expected to take about 35 to 36 laps on a tank of fuel. And that will be probably about 50 to 55 minutes in the race. So I think Kevin Ford was spot on with the strategy calls there in the notes. The final stop will be with about 25 or 30 minutes to go. So looking at the time on the screen, you're probably looking at about an hour 45 minutes into the race, where we're going to be seeing those Porsches coming in again. In the Mustangs, you're probably going to see them. They pit with very few laps to go. Apparently, they may only need 3 to 4 gallons to finish the race. So I think we could be seeing drivers leaving it to the last few laps there. Meanwhile, Mazdas, their final stop should probably be in about half an hour, because their final stop apparently is scheduled to be with 35 to 40 minutes to go. So different times for different classes, and it means that for the next hour and 15 minutes, we probably will have something to look at in all 3 classes as each 3 races pan out.
Yeah, it's good to see that the battles are lasting. like I was saying before, as we see Rathje on the straight right now, this has been the great equaliser as this straight, especially in the sort of the MX-5, obviously with it being a lower powered car, as you can see Ruddock just coming over the crest behind them there, and then you can see Ford as well in the background. And I'm not on about the Mustang, I'm on about the Porsche, just to confuse things. But yeah, Rathje once again closing right up with Hartley. I think he might slightly lose him over the course of the lap, but then obviously gets the slipstream and catches back up again. So Hartley will be just thinking, just go away, just leave me alone. But at the same time, I'm sure that he'll be grateful to have the scrap all the way through the race, and it must be exciting from a driver's point of view, knowing that this may go all the way to the end, and could be decided by just one little mistake on one lap.
To see that this lead battle hasn't been separated out by the pit stops. There goes Kevin Ford to lap the Mazdas again. One thing we haven't mentioned today is incidents. There is no official iRacing incident limit, so you won't see cars vanishing due to disqualifications, but the series does have its own incident rules. 32 limits for the 135-minute race. Teams that finish with 0 to 5 incidents will be awarded 1 bonus point. So there is the incentive to not pick up too many incidents. However, I'm sure it's going to be, at a track like this, it's going to be pretty difficult for any of the drivers here to do that. And if so, massive commendments go to them. If a team exceeds the 32 incident limit, then the race stewards will issue them a drive-through penalty. And if they're not able to do so, with it being 2 or 3 laps from the end of the race, they will have points penalty after the race. Maybe they should have thought of doing something like that at the 1998 British Grand Prix. I was happy with the result that day, but it would have helped ease the confusion when the checkered flag fell that day.
Yeah, it wasn't the most straightforward of situations for anyone that knows of that very famous Grand Prix. But I'm sure these guys will be figuring it out in their heads, trying to calculate as they go round. And it's always nice to be able to do that when you've got a series that has quite a I don't want to call it basic, because I mean no point system is basic, but compared to other series, it's nice and simple. It's easy to understand. You want to be in a situation where you can calculate the points at the end of a championship while you're in the race. If you know where other people are on track, and obviously for ourselves as well, relaying the information to people that are watching, it's just nicer to be able to know it, really, instead of having to just wait till the very end to provisionally confirm it. So yeah, I'm sure that they'll be happy to know that. If they are focusing on that at all, obviously they'll want to keep their focus on what's in front of them right now. And what's in front of Rathje is still Robert Hartley, but he's not getting away quickly. He's still within earshot, and I think behind them as well. It's going to be it's Clint Vigas, isn't it? And the Mustang behind them. He took over from Shiflett, didn't he?
Yeah, driven by Shiflett. Sat in 4th place, second place overall in class, as he's just getting by those two now. Rathje thinking of potentially getting a bit of a tow, but Mustang is off up the road. 49 laps completed in the main class. If you're interested, the gap between Kevin Ford and Mike Dam is now 43 seconds. Mike Dam on that last lap was 0.4 of a second quicker than Kevin Ford, but just over an hour to go. I think he'd probably have to start lapping a lap quicker if he wants to get there by the time we get to the end of the race, or hope for a mistake, which isn't potentially out of the question for Kevin Ford. Usually at a racetrack like this, it always seems that a driver has a mistake in them. It's just the severity of them that changes during the course of the race. So we'll wait and see with that one. It probably isn't too over just yet, but in the Mustang and the Mazda class, we have got good battles as Rob Hartley takes a little bit of the exit curve, and we look at Clint Vigas in the motors.
Yeah, he's chasing down Landy at the moment, and doing a good job of it. The gap's down to only 1.4 seconds then, as they go into the right-hander. Just showed 1.3 when they bunched up a little bit as well. So the chase is on now in at least 2 classes still. Obviously, Dam losing a lot of time to Ford there. The gap between them, I'd now have it as 42 seconds. So that's it's been blown a bit wide open, unfortunately, by the multiple visits through the pit lane by Dam. He'll be saying damn and blast about that, I'm sure. But Vigus still chasing down Landy then. You can see the brake discs glowing on the Mustang. They'd have to be pretty decent brakes to slow a big hefty lump like the Mustang down after such a long straight anyway. But he's doing a fine job of lumbering it around and getting it onto the back of Forrest Landy's car.
And look at the difference in lap times as a result. A 1.5 second difference between them on that last lap. Vigus really turning on the pressure here. 7 tenths of a second between Vigus and Landy. See what their lap times are like as they go through the first sector here.
So the difference between old and new tyres, I say old, but 2 tyres against 4 tyres. Because obviously Vigus would have took 4 when he pitted because he was doing the driver swap, so it's going to take 30 seconds to that driver swap, so he might as well take them. I think that's maybe where there's a difference here. So, but it will mean, of course, he'll have a shorter stop at for the final one, but then be slower than perhaps Landy in the final stint. So this could be interesting little race how this is going to pan out. I think they're going to stretch away. Landy had good pace in the early stint, almost the same as the Memo Sport car. So could be interesting.
Yeah, it's always a nice aspect for these longer races. You do have to think about the strategy, and you can obviously try and save a bit of time in the pits, but obviously that means that you might overall lose time on the track. So if you do try and make it last on old tyres but still refuel, you might lose time per lap compared to the cars around you that saves you a bit of time every lap by spending more time in the pits. So it is a very nice part of motorsport, in my opinion, that it does always balance out as Vigus looks down the inside. Probably just trying to unsettle Landy a little bit, knowing that the Porsche is going past. He's thinking that his focus is going to be elsewhere. But this is the time to put the pressure on now. It'll be interesting to see how Forrest Landy soaks it up.
Yeah, Mike Dam was on his way. He's now ahead of those guys. You just saw them. You just saw the Porsche fly by on the front straight. He's off up the road, trying to do his best to close them. But Vigus, see if he can get it done into the chicane. He might even try earlier here. The gap is 1/10 of a second. I think Lundy knows the game might just be up, but Vigus cannot get up the inside into the first part of the double right-hander. Can he do it this time? No, thinks better of it. Knows that there's a golden opportunity coming up into the chicane. Especially, you don't want to move there. We saw it happen to Jennifer McDonald earlier in the race. It ends up with a penalty being issued. Vigus trying everything. He's right to the inside line here, but that will quickly become the outside as we swoop through the right-hand kink. Can he get it done into the chicane, though? I think he can. He's got the overlap. Is he going to outbrake him? No, he doesn't. But he goes way too deep, Lundy. Doesn't make the corner. Has to go across the grass, across the gravel. And it means that Clint Vigus is elevated up into the lead of the Ford Mustang class.
And that just goes to show as well, you don't always have to actually make the move yourself. Sometimes it can just be the pressure as we go on board with Forrest Landy now, then down into the chicane. Just that tiny bit, or you can just tell, you get to a point when you're slowing down. Nearly got it done though, to be fair. The car suddenly slowed down quite a lot when it got onto the grass anyway. Did a good job not to completely lose it, but real shame there to have lost the lead, but still in second place. Big gap back, I believe, to the cars behind as well. I think it's about a 12-second gap. No, actually, I think it's about 44-second gap as well. So, yeah, they've got plenty of space to still reignite that battle if it does happen. But Vigus looking really, really quick, and I think he's going to run away with that lead. But someone who hasn't run away with the lead still is Rob Hartley, with Rathje right behind him once again.
Amazing how this battle has continued. Rob Hartley, familiar face for those of you that have watched the Ricmotech Sports Car Series the last few years on Apex Racing TV. Him and Brian Holmes have had some good battles, including Travis Schwenke, and also including Tom Rathje as well. So these are all very familiar names to those that have watched Ricmotech Sports Car Series action over the years, and here too in the World Challenge. We're coming up to the end of our second year covering the Extreme Motorsports Series on Apex Racing TV. Amazing how the time goes by, really. Rathje will be hoping this the time has come for him to get the lead, though. It's just about a 10th of a second between Hartley and Rathje, but as opposed to the Battle and the Mustangs, it looks like that position change won't be happening on this lap. Just approaching an hour and 15 minutes, so 60 minutes to go almost, the length of a standard Ricmotech Sports Car Series race, and then we start to get into the factors of what the drivers will be doing for their final round of pit stops. Of course, we know that in the Porsche class, they've got to take 4 tyres in at least one of their stops. So we'll see which drivers have done that, and we'll see in the Porsches and the Mustangs and the Mazdas who will be rolling the dice in terms of the strategy to see if they can get a win here at Road Atlanta to end the season.
Yeah, if I was you, I'd probably go for 4 tyres in the last one. You've just got to take everything you can. Maybe save a little time. Just hope that maybe something happens to your rivals, or if obviously you're in the MX-5s or the Mustangs, that when you are sort of part of traffic and you have to get out of the way for someone like Rathje and Hartley are about to do now for Ford, that obviously it does hold them up slightly, or it sort of compromises your line through a corner, for example. You just got to take that risk, I think. If you've got fresh rubber on, then you can just push the car to its limit and not have to worry about conserving your tyres. So, really, I mean, I'm no strategist, but yeah, I'd think that it was probably one of the best ways to go.
Yeah, I don't know why I do. I've probably not been in a situation before where we have had to worry about what tyres to do. Alex, in the I think you've been in the Neo Endurance Series before, and also in the official GT series on iRacing. When it comes to situations like this, where a potential tyre stop could hinge on what position you finish in, what would you go for?
Yeah, it's tough to say. I mean, hopefully you'll have the data at hand based off of what's gone on out there to sort of go, well, we can go for it, and with the sort of shorter amount of tires or smaller amount of tires, and make it to the end. And again, it's really difficult with, I think, these races where you don't have enough sort of time to get all that relevant data in the race. It's very, very tricky, because you kind of just have to go. You can either decide to take them, all of them, or just take 2, and you kind of just winging it, because you won't know until you do it. In the race, like, track conditions can vary so much from practice. I remember obviously on the Neo race last week, it was a bit of a toss-up whether or not we were going to take tyres or not, because it felt that much more slick out there, and it was like, oh, the tyre's going to last. But actually, the older tyres felt better as the run got on. So at the start of the run, we were like, no, we're definitely taking tyres. But as the run went on, we were like, yeah, I think we're going to be okay, actually. The car's coming to us. So, yeah, it's just crazy how things can change so quickly.
And it can also depend on the people around you as well. If you're obviously chasing someone that's taken a different strategy to you, you've got to consider that when making your own decision as well. And it's not always easiest to judge like this. I remember with the some of the races that we did in the World GT Championship, we thought that taking tyres would be the better option, because you can really push the car. And it didn't work for us, because cars that hadn't taken tyres further down the field and obviously saved time in their pit stops came out in front of us and ended up holding us up. So it meant that we couldn't catch up with the people we were racing before the pit stops, and they benefited from it. And like I say, it can depend on the people around you as well, because obviously track position is everything. So it can hinder you or it can work out, but it's all about the risk. And well, you have to calculate it yourself, don't you? Really, there's no one else to do it unless you're part of a pretty major team.
See, this is the powers of iRacing right here. You get the big team events like this. You often see it anywhere else. Team racing on iRacing has been a thing for a good 3 or 4 years now. And we're seeing it go from strength to strength with the likes of the 24 Hours of Le Mans, 24 Hours of Spa-Francorchamps as well, 24 Hours of Daytona as well. Before that, the big event was the 2.4 hours at Daytona. Now we've got the 24. And now Tom Rathje will be hoping he can get the 25 points for a race victory, as flying by goes Mike Dam for another lap. Interestingly enough, the gap is down to 32 seconds. So he is gradually closing the gap on Kevin Ford, but with just under an hour to go, I don't think he's going to be getting there time as the two Mazda leaders go for the final corner.
Yeah, Dam's really still going for it, but like you say, that I don't quite think he's going to catch him up all that much. Kevin Ford's just doing what he needs to do at the moment. I think in terms of just trying to have a look. In terms of OS tracks or incident points, like we were saying before, you don't get there's no sort of official limit or anything. They have their own rules in this series. They currently have 5, but the top of the pile in that is actually Chris Tolman at the moment for CT Racing. Has 1 incident point for the whole race, and to be fair as well, Rob Hartley and Rathje have 2 and 3 respectively, which is just to have done an hour and 18 minutes of racing is just an incredible feat in itself, really. Just shows you how clean they are.
I think by this point in the 24 Hours of Le Mans race we were doing, I think I might have crashed the car, but Kevin Ford in the Ricmotech Motorsports white one, definitely looking not the worst for wear for sure. Great helicopter shot here as he goes through the S's. Lunges downhill, has to clip that, almost touch that inside curb. Definitely takes a hit on the left-hand side, and then make sure that you get through here without taking too much damage. And now towards the door right-handers, he's got a bit of traffic just in front of him, as you can see from the mini-map on the right-hand side. The green dots are the Mazdas, the blue are the Mustangs, and the yellow one, Kevin Ford, who makes a bit of a mess there, are the Porsches. Just under half a minute, just over half a minute, separate Kevin Ford and Mike Dam. It's a shame, really, Alex, that penalty had to happen for Mike Dam, because if you take those 32 seconds away, I think he might have been right with him.
Yeah, exactly. Pit lane time, 32 seconds. So exactly, it was what? It was about 20. It was about 25 before he pitted, wasn't it? And he went to about 40 something. So perhaps not quite there, but it would have been very close. And yeah, maybe with an hour left, he might be able to close it. If we think you would have already closed that 1 pit lane deficit already, this could be interesting. You know, the business end. I think looking at the lap times that Kevin's doing, his times have fallen off just a fraction as well. Now, whether that's due to traffic or whether the fact that he's realised exactly what's gone on and he's thought, okay, yeah, I've just got to cruise. Can't cruise too much.
There's a bit of a moment there with Alexander Coffard when Ford was on the straight. Coffard caught a bit of the grass and nearly had the car completely out of shape. Bit of a heart in your mouth moment for race leader, as we see Jeff Jacobs there in 5th, and there is Coffard himself. Bit of damage to the front right of the car, must have obviously had contact a little bit earlier, but still doing a fine job then in 7th place overall. Only 4 seconds ahead to Thorman actually, so not a massive gap in terms of that battle. Still plenty of time to get the job done if he is going to catch. You can just see Chris in the black and white car at the bottom of the screen there. Between them though is the number 8 car, and that's Bobby Childs in the MX-5, who we saw have contact with Dam earlier. And into the pits comes Jeff Jacobs.
Yeah, Jacobs in the Team Street Survival car coming in now with 53 minutes to go. Don't know if he'll make it from here. He might have to come in later on. But as things stand, he comes down the pit lane. And we'll see if how many tyres he takes. Chris Tolman's gone by. Coffard has gone by as well. So he's demoted to pretty much the last Mustang running, if you exclude Nathan Thomas. Left-hand side gets jacked up. Kevin Ford is, can see from the left-hand side, has been off the track a little bit. Don't know what happened there. We'll have a look on the replay in a moment. Looks like just the 2 tyres there. Waited on the fuel. And away goes Jeff Jacobs with a 20.4 second pit stop time. Kevin Ford went off the track, Alex, I can see from the incident report on the left-hand side. I don't know if it's going to be anything major. It hasn't lost him too much time. But a little moment of concern for our race leader is he maintains the lead. We'll see what happens. Oh! That's a big one.
That's a relatively big moment, that is. That's a good 6 or 7 seconds lost there, isn't it?
That is a moment for concern. That was very scary. It's quite easy to do that, because once you've sort of gathered the car back from the quick right-left section there, you are on quite a long left-hander and you're on the throttle. So in a car like the Porsche, where you can see the front end bouncing around, it is easy to over-rotate it in any rear-wheel drive car there, any sort of GT car. It's It's always a challenging section, but you can see he's not giving up though. He's got straight back on the horse and he's going for it. Is Kevin Ford?
Yeah, gap down to 23 seconds now. A 27.1 for Ford on that last lap. Obviously, we'll have to wait a little bit of time to see what Mike Dam does, because he's obviously so far away. Interestingly, after he had that moment, Kevin Ford put in a new personal best in the final sector, just to show that those tyres haven't lost any of their grip. Did a 17.8 on that final sector to do a 27.1. Mike Dam will surely be coming across the line to complete his lap any moment. I think he's come across the line yet, but anyway, Ford onto the back straight. I wonder if he might be coming into the pit lane sooner or later, but yeah, that was a big moment for him. Tricky part of the track, really. You've got the S's, and then on the exit, the S's then got that really difficult left-hander with the curbs on the exit, because if you do get onto those curbs, and if you go over them a bit too much, like one of the Mazdas did earlier, you can end up vaulting over and going into the wall, as Kevin Ford again locks that tyre going into the chicane, which we've been seeing him doing for most of the evening as he now goes through the final corner.
You've got to say as well, he did a fantastic job to keep it out of the wall when it did go around. He was just straight on the anchors and got it stopped. And that's all you need to do. I mean, obviously he's lost a chunk of his lead, but I'm sure he'd rather do that and hit the wall and completely end the race for himself. Let's see how he does it this time round. So this is the corner he's going through. It's just a long left-hander and you're on the throttle. You can almost hear him sort of holding off slightly, as that's Thorman in the pits then in the Mustang. You can see that from the bar at the bottom. We'll get the pit lane time updated as soon as he leaves his box. Coffard goes through and sets end of the lap as well. Dam's done a 121.3. Last time it was a 121.5 from Ford, so just about a 2-second advantage to Mike Dam on that lap. But if he's catching at that rate per lap now, it's not going to be enough for him to get the place, Alex.
Yeah, I still think I mean, last lap not great, but all the other ones have been in the 20s, so I think it's just a bit of an off, maybe some traffic or something like that. I still think now that 7 seconds has been lost, I think it is very open. I really do.
Should be good to see how he does. They're both definitely pushing. You can tell just the way they taking every little bit of track they can. Oh, big lock up there from Ford. It might have looked like a bit more of a lock up than normal because of the angle of the camera on my screen. We see Coffard then, third in class at the moment in the Mustang, chasing down Forrest Landy and Clint Vigas. Jeff Jacobs, who we saw in the pit recently. I think Jeff is the only car running at the moment that's actually where he started at the moment.
Mike Dam, fastest lap of the race. Boom. There you go.
That is how you respond as he goes past Hartley.
That's some traffic.
Scary corner that, even when you're doing it on your own. Never mind trying to overtake someone. But Rathje's got a little bit of a run on him. And there's Ruddock in 10th place overall at the moment. Obviously been making his way back up since his incident earlier on, where he unfortunately took Nathan Thomas with him. Real shame that was as well. There was nothing that Nathan could do as Vigas comes in the pits.
Clint Vigas in then from the lead in the Mazda MX-5 in the Ford Mustang category. You can also saw from those difference in lap times between Ford and Dam a second difference again. Stands at 22.9 seconds. Forrest Landy goes back into the lead of the Ford Mustangs as Clint Vigas takes time out for a trip down the pit lane. We'll see if he gets out of the car or whether he will be doing a double stint in the Motorsports car. Left-hand side gets jacked up, so he'll be changing the left-hand side tyres. Is he going to be changing the right-hand side? Yes, indeed he is, which is something that Chris Torman didn't. That Jeff Jacobs didn't do, and it results in a 5-second longer pit stop. Vigas gets out a minute or so ahead of Alex Coffard, and just about to be passed by Mike Dam. There he goes. Vigas slots in comfortably in fourth. 33 seconds behind Forrest Landy. So unless Forrest has a very quick final stop, or second stop of the race, in case he has pit again, it looks like that Clint Vigas will still be the effective race leader in the Ford Mustang.
Yeah, you've got to think for the sake of how much time you could sort of save in terms of laps. 5 seconds in the pits is nothing in comparison, really, especially in a longer race like this. I'd probably take that on board and always go for tyres. As we look at Rob Hartley, then got a bit of a gap on Rathje now. Not sure what happened last time round. Just have a quick look at the lap times and the sector times. Rob was actually slower in the first sector, but he was about a second, and well, he's again this time round as well. He's about 1.7 seconds quicker just in sector 2, and they were pretty much perfectly matched for the rest of the lap. So seems like it's just that section Rathje's losing the main time there, and he may get out of the slipstream pretty soon, may Robert. So it's starting to look a little bit more comfortable for him at the moment.
I think while this is all going off, we're going to head to another little advert break. No issues this time. But yeah, time to do that. So stick with us while we go and check out once again our series sponsors, and yeah, have a look at some of the bits that they've got. Of course, go check out their website. Say hello to Frank on there as well. Been covering and supporting this series for a long time. Hartley in as well. Rathje stays out. So yeah, we'll check back in on that once we return.
Are you a fan of the Ricmotech World Challenge? Now is your chance to show off your favorite sim racing world challenge by visiting our online store with clothing and apparel for women and men in all sizes, merchandise and gift items like coffee mugs, laptop skins, mouse pads, and many more items to display your passion for sports car sim racing. Visit us today at ExtremeMotorsports99.com and click on the online store button. Thank you for watching and supporting the Ricmotech World Challenge.
Welcome back to the closing stages. Final race meeting of the season in the Ricmotech World Challenge on Apex Racing TV. As I'm with Adam Ruff, with Chaz Draker, Alex Simpson for the final race meeting. We've got just under 45 minutes to go, and a change of driver as well, Alex, for what was the leader in the Ford Mustangs as well, with Alessi now in the car.
Yeah, so Alessi jumps in from Landy, so they're pretty close together actually. This good little battle. That's Coffard right behind them actually, isn't it? So Yeah, that was a really long stop, wasn't it? So yeah, Vigus massively clear. So yeah, that strategy call didn't work out quite for them. So we'll have to see what sort of pace Alessi's got here as well. So two drivers I haven't seen before actually, Alessi and Andy. So performing well though in this race. So good to see new faces as always.
Yeah, in the Billigan racing car. Chaz, meanwhile, in the Porsches, it couldn't happen, could it? But Mike Dam is a man on a mission. He's got the lead gap between himself and he's got the gap between Kevin Ford, our leader, and himself down to 17 seconds. As I think Ford may just be about to come into the pits. Time is tumbling. Don't know whether it means that Kevin Ford has got an issue, but he's now down to 16 seconds. So he's definitely coming at a rate of knots, Mike Dam.
Yeah, he really is. We were watching the timing screens in the advert break, and yeah, Mike is absolutely on a mission at the moment. Before we went for an advert, I think it was about 22, 21 as Coffard comes in the pits then. But yeah, he's taken about nearly 6 seconds off that now, and you've got to think that that's going to continue all the way to the end of the race unless either of them make a major mistake. So we really are in for a treat if he can get this done, Mike Dam. Although he's in the pits at the moment. He's just gone in. Really close there is Thorman and Nathan Thomas. Nathan Thomas obviously a couple of laps down after an earlier incident, but he's still out there plugging away, getting the car around and doing what he needs to do. Dam's still in the pits, and you can see his pit stop time at the bottom. Quite a longer stop.
It's 19 point. Sorry, not 19.9. It's still the clock's still going up. It's over 20 seconds now. 24.4 for Mike Dam. The Crypto G orange car back out onto the circuit. 54.8 the pit lane time. So remember that in your head, and we'll see what happens when, as Chris Tolman goes very wide. We'll see what happens when Kevin Ford comes into the pit lane in the not too distant future, and whether Dam can gain some time with a few laps to go. One thing we have noticed, Chaz, is that Kevin Ford, for his first pit stop, he did a 53.2, and that was with that must be with the 4 tyres getting changed. Mike Dam, I'm guessing, is only taking the 2 because the pit stop is half of that.
Yeah, I'm sure he's going to be trying to find time wherever he can now, is Mike, and we've seen that he's been pushing the car hard, so you've got to pray for the condition of those tyres that'll be still on it. But I'm pretty sure that, considering the time that he's going to lose by having a longer stop compared to what he'll gain by obviously missing out on that, I think it's probably going to work in his favour because he seems to have decent car control and he knows how to chuck this Porsche around this track. So Kevin Ford will be lamenting what he should do here, because it's going to be maybe that call that could make the difference in this race.
It is. Of course, it'll be a completely remarkable story if Mike Dam's able to get it done. Two extra visits to the pits, one for speeding when he left the pit lane after making his first scheduled stop, and then another trip to the pits for serving a drive-through penalty after colliding with a Mazda after he made his drive-through penalty, and has just come into the pits again. So 4 visits to the pits so far tonight for Mike Dam, and if he's able to pull off the victory, it will show how quick he has been around this circuit today, because yeah, not too many drivers have been able to live with him in the Porsche class. But Kevin Ford for now still leads. Should mention that he's the one that's been leading the most laps so far. We'll pick up an extra point for that. You pick up 1 point for leading a lap of the race, and you pick up another bonus point if you lead the most laps. And here is Kevin Ford just getting past Clint Vigus. The a lockup as well. Kevin Ford, he's really put with the time slowly running out. But Clint Vigus in 3rd place, still leading for MEM Motorsports. It's Booligan Racing in 2nd with Frank Alessi, and then Jeff Jacobs in 3rd, and then it's Chris Tolman here in 4th in class, and Alex Coffard 1.4 seconds behind it in 5th, with Nathan Thomas there in the middle in the Driftline racing car. Shame really for Thomas, because he was the leader in this class, let's not forget, earlier on before the collision with the Porsche that was driven by Russell Ruddock, who sits in And into the pits comes Ford then, Chaz. So this is it. This is the moment. We'll see what time Dam can gain here.
Yeah, as Thomas just took a bit of a questionable route round turn 1. I think he just got 2 wheels on the grass and it launched him out wide. But, yep, as you say, Kevin Ford then, in one of the most important parts of this race then. Just over half an hour to go now. And you think that this will be their last pit stop.
See from the map as well, Chaz. Yeah, sorry, is that Mike Dam is just on the back straight there, position 2.
Certainly, it's a bright yellow dot at the top of your screen. Seems like he's still miles away, doesn't it? But that can close down very quickly. Not forgetting that the gap was about, well, it would have been about 17, 18 seconds if they were on a sort of equal pit stop time. But he's already out. He's away with it, and it's 22.9, so it's an even quicker stop for Kevin Ford. So he's gained about 1.9 seconds in the pit stop there. So Mike Dam will really, really need to push now for the last half hour or so of this race.
Yeah, we've got 35 minutes to go here on what is probably one of the shorter laps on the Ricmotech calendar. It's just an 80-second lap here in the Porsches. So we'll have quite a few laps. The gap is 17 seconds then. That is what we've got for Mike Dam to gain with 35 minutes to go. I'm sure there's a boffin somewhere that will tell us with an estimate how many laps that means we've got left of the race. But yeah, that is the task in hand for Mike Dam as Tom Rafferty comes into the pits from the lead of the Mazda MX-5s. Things were pretty close between him and Rob Hartley. But it looks like now, as Rafferty comes into his box, that Rob Hartley is going to get the lead back as Rafferty makes his second stop. There you go, out of the pit lane. And they're not too far apart. Just 1.2 seconds, it looks like, between Hartley and Rafferty. As we look here at Frank Alessi, the man that currently sits in second place in the Ford Mustangs, is Mike Dam, just ahead of him. Drives off into the sunset as he tries to close the gap down. Already it's down to 16.7 seconds. We'll see what lap time Mike Dam does on his first proper lap out of the pit lane. It's a 1:20.4.
I've become a boffin in the meantime and calculated the laps. Basically, if this is only based on if they were pretty much doing 1:20s exactly, so it may be a little bit more than this, but I've calculated 26 and a quarter laps, so that'd probably get rounded up to at least 27, maybe even 28, if obviously the seconds rack up for them. So yeah, we should be looking at another sort of at least 26 laps.
The gap 16 seconds, so Dam doesn't have necessarily to do a second a lap. In fact, he could probably do about 3/4 of a second and get that gap down on Kevin Ford. So it's somehow become doable, Alex, as we see here one of the early contenders in the Porsches just getting by Clint Vigus. That was Russell Ruddock.
Yeah, that 7 seconds is going to be I think it's going to be very costly to Ford. I think you would have had a bit of buffer, but come the end of this race, they're going to be on top of each other. I'm sure of it.
One incentive as well for Russell Ruddock to keep going, Chaz, is that as we just saw there, he's gaining positions, of course, because he's in the quickest car in the field in the Porsche. He's able to put laps and put overtakes on these guys, and we'll see how far Ruddock can get back up to the overall field. He's up to 8th place now. He's just got the Mustangs now to negotiate. In fact, he's not too far away from some of them.
Yeah, he's just going to, we've seen tonight, I mean, just that little display there, last sort of 10-15 seconds of Kevin Ford getting past Hartley and Rafferty, it just makes it look effortless in that portion. It is still an absolute world apart in terms of pace from the Mustang. It's good to see Coffard actually giving Thorman a run for his money. I was going to say before, it was a bit of a shame that sort of Nathan Thomas was stuck in the middle of the two of them, if it sort of hindered anyone's fight, but his mistake, as you can see him in the background there, has now opened it up, and it looks like Coffard's actually on a mission here. He's visually closing quite a lot on Thorman, so the battle's definitely on. As they go into the right-hander, both going to hop the curb as much as they can. Nice little bit of two-wheeled action there. They go left and then right down the S's. Very challenging part of the track, and I can imagine in the Mustang it's not the easiest of sections either. Making a lot of adjustments on the throttle and on the brakes as you go down there. You take as much curb as you can get away with as they go over the crest. And yeah, Coffard really looking racy now. Even after nearly 2 hours of racing, still looking properly aggressive and motivated. And this straight is going to be oh so important. You can see the two different lines there. Coffard trying to get a run, taking a wider entrance to the corner. And you've got to think that it's going to be a case of when, not if.
Here is Tom Rafferty, another battle that's pretty close. Got Mike Dam just behind him. He'll be wanting him to get out of the way as quickly as he can. There goes Mike Dam. Gap is 15.2 seconds on the last lap. Mike Dam was 1.3 seconds quicker than Kevin Ford. Keeps coming down, and I wonder if that battle too might be a matter of when, if not if, for Ford v Dam. So I think we've got potentially, maybe with the Mustangs aside, we've got a battle for the lead in the Porsches and in the Mazda MX-5s a few laps to go. But this battle for the final spot on the podium, sorry, the battle for fourth spot in the Ford Mustang class, looks set to rumble on too, as Torman and Coffard go at it again. Last time around, Torman did a 32.4, 32.3 for Alex Coffard in 7th overall. And even with that damage, he's not letting that put him down, or slow him down for that matter. And he looks definitely the one that that could get it done, as he very nearly slides into the wall on the exit. Wouldn't be the first person to have done that in the series that we've covered here on Apex Racing TV at Road Atlanta.
No, definitely not. There's a few people fell victim to that wall, but he is looking the stronger of the two at the moment. Just tucking in behind now. This is just going to be a slipstream fest all the way down the straight. They're going to go 3 wide nearly. Ford, little indicator in the top left of your screen there, where the positions are. His little indicator just went from yellow to red, indicating that he had what is known as an off-track, which is one little incident point, meaning that 50% of the cars off the track as Coffard goes down the inside. And he seems to have got it done. He's got the overlap completely. Oh, look at how much Thomas gained there as well. Absolutely flew behind the pair of them. I think it was down to Thulman just taking it nice and easy. Obviously didn't want to get tangled up with Coffard making the move, and it seems like Thomas is going to go through as well. Oh, no, he isn't. He tucks back in behind. But yeah, while it may not be a battle for the lead, it's good to see these guys still fighting on track together. As out of the pits there has just come, I think, is that Brandon Whitworth? In the
Behind?
MX-5. Yeah, it was one of the MX-5s, the black and white one.
Yeah, I think it was.
Must have been, because Violet was white and blue.
Yeah, 42, the No Hope racing car. Yeah.
So these Mustangs, they're still battling together. You can see Kevin Ford just pop up over the crest in the background there.
Something's happened, hasn't it? Kevin Ford's crashed, apparently. Well, he had crashed, because the gap is now 7 seconds between Kevin Ford and Mike Dam. Mike Dam's quick, but I think Kevin Ford may have just handed him a little bit of an advantage here. This is the double right-hander. Is it going to be the exit? Oh, he loses on entry.
Oh, he's going to be kicking himself if that's what decides it. There's 2 little mistakes from Ford, just on his own as well. He wasn't really, I mean, I know sort of in the long run he was under pressure from these guys, but in the moment he didn't really have anyone bearing down on him, and he's just done it himself. It shows you how easy it is to do. You should be able to see Mike Dam come into shot pretty soon, because this gap is only 7 and a bit seconds now. And this is getting really, really feisty. Just under half an hour to go now. 1 hour 47 minutes in the books, and that leaves us with 28 minutes remaining. Oh, another big lock up there. He's really trying hard. He's Kevin Ford. I'm sure he'll be happy to grab a win, but it's not going to come easily to him if he's going to get it.
No. One thing that will come to Kevin Ford's aid here is that, as you can see from the mini-map, that Mike Dam does have a lot of traffic to negotiate here. You can see just from the top of the shot, there are 3 Mustangs in the way to try and get by. It's one of the trickiest parts on the circuit. So this will help the gap stagnate for the time being. It's as I can see on the timing screen, it's around 7.8 seconds. It hasn't really come down on this lap. In fact, on this lap, Kevin Ford was quicker in the first sector and quicker in the second sector too. So it's now gone up to 8.2 seconds, in fact, because as you can just see now, Mike Dam has finally cleared those Mustangs, and in a moment they'll be coming up to a bit of more traffic, as you can see too, as Ford goes through the final chicane. Got a few Mustangs and I think another Porsche in there too. So the traffic is pretty much a factor to throw in here for the next few laps, because until they get past 4th place man Jeff Jacobs, it's a pretty busy track as Ford again locks that tyre going through the first corner.
Yeah, he's really pushing that front end, isn't he? Just trying to get it turned in as best he can on the brakes. But there's the man on the mission at the moment, Canadian Mike Dam in the number 93 car for Cryptogy Orange. He's shown us brilliant pace all night, to be fair. Unfortunate incident earlier on, and obviously speeding in the pit lane really hindered him. But yeah, you can't take away the pace that this guy's had all night. He's been spectacular, really spectacular. He obviously put it on pole as well. I mean, it'd be great, don't get me wrong. It'd be fantastic for him to take the win. It'd be a hell of a story. But at the same time, you've got to want to give it to Ford for such a consistent drive overall. So either way, either one of them is going to be a very deserving winner tonight. But who's it going to be?
Say that Mike Dam turned 31 laps in practice, in the official practice session on the 4th of November. His average lap time was 20.5. His fastest lap time, 19.9. The only driver to get into the 19s in practice on the Sunday, and I think he's shown his pace in the race too. His best lap time during the race has been a 20.02, which is only what is pretty much a 10th of a second off his best lap that he set in practice on Sunday. So he's doing a pretty good job here. Chris Torman has just passed Alex Coffard for 6th place. An overtake there in the Ford Mustang classes. Mike Dam goes through. Gap now 7.7 seconds. He was 7/10 of a second quicker than Kevin Ford on that last lap. Here is that squabble then. Coffard v Torman, with cameo appearance by Nathan Thomas. He wants a piece of the action.
Remember, he doesn't really need to be getting involved there, though, does he?
No, not really.
He is a lap car. It's a bit of a shame to see. I mean, obviously he'll want to be running his own race. He'll want to try and unlap himself and get away. But yeah, you can see just what he's done in terms of splitting that battle up there. Sorry to cut in anyway, but
that's all right.
It's just like I say, he doesn't need to be in that situation. I think he was better off holding back like he was before. But yeah, after his incident earlier, he's got to be frustrated. So it's understandable, but it's a shame to see it sort of dissipate that fight.
Yeah, showing his pace. Remember in the 2004 Daytona 500, Kurt Busch was a lap down, but he was in the lead group right until the very end when Dale Earnhardt Jr. took that victory. Different scenario here, of course, but yeah, good job by Nathan Thomas. Even with the damage to the car, he's still showing what pace he could have achieved, and in fact, he could almost try and unlap himself here on Alex Coffard. I remember Jenson Button doing that to. I remember actually, no, it was Lewis Hamilton doing it to Sebastian Vettel at Hockenheim in 2012. He wasn't too pleased. And he runs a little bit wide and has to catch it. And that was a pretty good save there, to be fair, because once these heavy Mustangs go, it takes strong hand to keep them pointing in the right direction. And good job from Nathan Thomas there, because if he hit that bridge, pretty much done for the day. The engine would almost certainly blow upon impact. So he was able to hold on to that and continue. Still sits in 14th place, which is the last run, which means he is still the last running car in the entire field as things stand.
We look back at this battle once again then. Still Hartley and Rathje going at it all race long with these two cars. Obviously with Schwenke driving the green MX-5 earlier on. As down the inside goes Dam. Oh, he gets a bit of a lock up there. I thought he was going to go into Hartley. That was a real heart-in-mouth moment there. But he's got away with it, and off he goes. Look at it, it's just like an orange bolt of lightning, and he's away. The gap's actually gone up quite a bit. It was 7.7 seconds last time I looked. It's now 8.5 to Kevin Ford. So Dam is slightly hindered at the moment. It's almost like as if his lap times were water. They've hit a Dam. He's out of shape over there as well. He's really, really pushing. It's not like he hasn't been pushing all race, but now he's just still really, really going for it. you may feel slightly that desperation's going to sit in a little bit because he knows that he's close to doing it and he knows that he can get there. It's just you want to get every extra tenth, don't you?
Very trying, isn't he? I just hope that the tyres haven't given up after the work he's been doing for the entire race, putting in fastest lap after fastest lap. He hasn't been able to do it. Shades of Imola 05, really. Schumacher just couldn't get by Alonso in the end. It's 8.6 seconds now, isn't it? On that last lap, it was Kevin Ford that was quicker by almost a second on Mike Dam. The important thing for Dam is that now that Kevin Ford is coming up on some Mazdas, potentially before he gets to the first corner. So this could slow our race leader up a little bit going through the first corner and allow Mike Dam the opportunity to close in a little bit more. Just a few hundredths of a second between them in terms of lap times on that last tour of the circuit. You can see from the mini-map that Ford is, for now, negotiating the Mazdas without too much of an issue. The gap remains at 8.2 seconds with just over a quarter of an hour to go in this final race of the season.
Yeah, it's a great way to end the season out there with such a sort of titanic battle over a long period of time as well. Makes the suspense ever more worth it, and it really has been a great performance so by everyone in the race so far. Obviously, not the biggest of grids. We've still seen some fantastic racing, which just goes to prove that you don't always need those big grids to see it. Eric Violet there, you can see, still plugging away. Obviously had an incident early on, really unfortunate for him, and another one there, Ruddock, that had an incident early on. But they've just they've kept with it. They've done exactly what they came up to do, and that's obviously to put a race in, get some points to their championship, and do the best they can. And that's certainly what Mike Dam's doing at the moment. Really, really on the limit there. Little slide on the exit of the chicane over the crest, and on to start another lap with 20 minutes to go. Ooh, he's having a bit of a blink there. Not sure about you guys, but he actually had quite a bit of damage afflicted to the car then when he reappeared to the front left. Not sure whether that'll just be in my sim or across all three, but yeah, hopefully it doesn't affect him if it has actually applied to the car.
Yeah, looks okay on my screen. Well, I'll say that there is clearly some damage, but it's not too bad.
You would have thought it'd be on the front right from when he hit the MX-5 earlier, but oh well, that's the joys of the internet, I suppose. It doesn't seem to be bothering him. He's still chucking it in, and he's certainly going hard at the moment as he's catching up at the moment to Russ Ruddock in the other Porsche. But there's your race leader then, Kevin Ford. Not long to go now.
Yeah, it looks like he's got back on it, hasn't he, Mike Dam? He's now back to 7.1 seconds. He was 7/10 of a second quicker than Ford on that last lap as well. Of course, Ford was negotiating the Mazdas. Here's what happened to Bobby Childs. I did hear a lot of tyre squealing when we were coming through this part of the circuit with Mike Dam, and it looks like it was Bobby Childs that was causing all of that. The car looks absolutely wrecked. The wheels definitely not pointing in the right direction there. Here is a replay of what happened. That is Russell Ruddock that's behind him in the Porsche. Turns it in, and around she goes, hits the tyre barrier, and that is that for him. And it looks like he's had to tow back to the pits as a result. And I wonder if that might be him done for the day. As there he is in 11th place. And here is Kevin Ford with something that he doesn't want in front of him. A moving Mustang of Clint Weiger. Finally gets by, but that's the gap now back down to 6 seconds. And speaking of Russ Ruddock, we were just speaking about him. I think he's crashed again. It looks like he's gone off the track. So Russell Ruddock, who was trying to make some progress back after crashing earlier whilst in second place in Porsche Classic category, as I had another moment. But Mike Dam, the gap is now down to 6 seconds with 17 minutes to go.
Yep, it's still tumbling down. And like we saw then, any one bit of traffic can really make all the difference. All it takes is for you to get stuck behind a Mustang, for example, in that assist section as you go down the hill and then back up. And yeah, it's very difficult to overtake. It's difficult to judge what people want you to do as well. If obviously you are a lapped car and you're trying to get out of the way, it's not the easiest place to do it because there's only really one line through there as Ford chews up some of the grass on the outside. You might just see Dam come into shot. There he is, coming across the line now. Last time round then, he was 4 tenths quicker. The gap now 6.5 seconds as I just look at the timing screen. Obviously it does change slightly over the course of every few hundred metres when it bunches up, but Kevin Ford really needs to just keep his foot down now and do everything he can. Should have about 13 laps remaining. It was going to be literally about 99 or 100 laps total from what I figured out. Another little lock up there from Ford. It's just, you've got to wonder about the life of those front tyres, and maybe that's why, well, I don't know whether they did go for 4 actually in the second one, because obviously the rules say that they must take 4 in at least one of them. I think they must have taken them early on, because these second pit stops were a lot quicker, weren't they, Adam?
I think they were, yeah, much quicker this time. The first round of stops, they were almost a minute long. This time they're only about 24 seconds. Here is our Mazda leader. We haven't looked at the Mazda class recently, and look how close that class is with just over 15 minutes to go. That's Rob Hartley leading the way. 3 positions gained for him so far in this race, with Tom Rathje sat in second. Eric Violet is in third, but he's a lap down on them. So it really is a battle between these two for the win. With a few laps to go. Ford and Dam, you can see at the top of the screen, doing identical lap times on that last lap, so the gap remains at 6.1 seconds. But in terms of the Mazdas, Mike Dam just then puts in a new purple in sector 1. Hartley on that last lap, 34.9, 35.6 for Rathje. So Hartley might just be starting to stretch the gap a little bit now with 15 minutes to go. And Stevie is able to do that. Obviously, the Mazda is a very draft-heavy car, so even on a straight like this, Hartley would probably need to extend the gap a little bit to stop Rathje picking up some sort of tow. Probably is just about on the cusp of it. From memory of the Watkins Glen BSR MX-5 race last week, you could really have about 2 seconds and still pick up a bit of the tow. So Rathje is just clinging on as Kevin Ford goes up the inside into the chicane. There he goes from the helicopter shot here as they go through the final sector. See what Kevin Ford does to get by here. This could be interesting. It's not the most conventional line. I think Kevin Ford just had to briefly think about it. But there he goes round the outside, and he does a 21.6. What does Mike Dam in the Crypto G card do? He does a new fastest lap of the race. 120.009. He's coming.
That's how you respond. He did a purple sector as well in sector 1 last time round, so that obviously helped him out. And you could physically see on our timing screen the gap came down just while they were going down the straight. It's under 5 seconds now. It's pretty much floating around that anyway. But yeah, Dam really, really on it. Not held up too much there by Hartley either compared to what happened with Kevin Ford. So 15 minutes to go. It's really, really going to get close. We'll have another quick calculation of lap times and see what we've got.
A reminder with just under 15 minutes to go that Thursday the BSRTC returns after an unexpected week off. We were supposed to be racing at the Glen last week, but iRacing maintenance meant that we couldn't. That's going to be on Thursday. Look forward to that one on the channel as the series rushes towards their conclusion there too. After that, not too many race meetings left. Just 3 weeks left into Lagos, Monza and Daytona to set a championship. We'll to seeing how that all goes. Kevin Ford does a 21.2. 21.2 as well for Mike Dam. It looks like it's 1 lap on, 1 lap off in terms of the pace for Mike Dam. So this lap, expect to see him potentially going at it again. Here's the battle for the lead, though, in the Mazdas. So the battle actually is happening. Tom Rathje up the inside. And just when it looked like the Rob Hartley had a 1.5 second advantage, Tom Rathje now is into the lead in the Asprey Motorsports number 74 car as they go through the S's.
Yeah, brilliant stuff by Rathje there. Just sort of pulled it out of the bag. And he's got away with it. And he's not exactly been that closely followed by Hartley. I mean, we know that Hartley's a very crafty racer, so he's going to be maybe, I think, holding behind him and trying to use the slipstream to his advantage in this one, because he might be thinking that Rathje was going to do the same, but You never know whether that might have been a tactical move, whether he might have slowed down, but you've got to think that you wouldn't really do that. You just got to keep pushing as hard as you can. Just had a quick look at the gap as well. With Ford and Dam, it's now 3.5 seconds. When I calculated it a minute ago, with the laps remaining, which should be about 11, he only needed to be 4.5 tenths of a second faster per lap to catch him by the end of the race, and he seems to have done a good amount of that just this lap alone. We'll have a look at the lap times now. Look at that. 1:21.8 for Ford, 1:20.1 for Dam. That's 1.7 seconds already. So this is really, really going to spice up now in these last two laps. Last few laps, sorry.
It was 2 laps, then we'd definitely be biting the nails there. 11 minutes to go. First sector this time, 11.8 for Mike Dam. So that was 0.2 of a second quicker than Kevin Ford, who did a 12 dead. He has to get past the Ford Mustang there. It's going to be much easier for Mike Dam, you would imagine, because I think the man sat in second place should get to that Mustang on the back straight and just breeze by him. So you shouldn't have to worry too much about that. Gap is now down to 2.8 seconds, with Dam taking another 1/10 of a second out in sector 2. So this could happen. 2.8 seconds now as we get on the brakes into the chicane. No lockup this time from Kevin Ford. We've seen him do that a few times tonight. Goes through the final corner now. Plunges down the hill, shifting up through the gears. Number 32, car, our race leader, comes through the final corner now and crosses the line and does a 20.8, an improvement on what he did on the previous lap. Meanwhile, Mike Dam does a 20.3, slightly slower than what he did on the previous lap, but he is another 0.6 of a second taken out of Kevin Ford's lead, down to 2.6 now.
Yeah, he's doing everything he needs to do. I've just had another look, and he needs 0.3 of a second a lap now going forward. And he's just taken double that in one go, so he's making it a lot easier for himself lap after lap right now, is Dam, and you've got to wonder whether Ford's going to feel the pressure or not, or whether he's just going to try and focus on the track ahead. I have to say as well, Clint Vigas at the moment doing a great job. He's over a minute ahead of Jeff Jacobs, who's second in the Mustangs. Then you've got Frank Alessi, Chris Thorman and Coffard as well that were battling together earlier. They've spaced out a little bit now as well, but you've got to say that this is the battle at hand at the moment. The gap's coming down. It's 2.1 seconds now. And what a drive this has been by both of these guys. Great to see that it's coming down to the wire as well. But one tiny mistake. We've seen a couple of them from both of them tonight. One tiny mistake can make all the difference, so hopefully it doesn't come down to that. Hopefully we just have a really good square fight. But the times across the line then, 1:20.81, new fastest lap of the race, 1:19.9 by Dam. That's absolutely blistering pace. And on a set of tyres that's been on the car for about half an hour, you've just got to wonder when this boy's going to stop. He's absolutely flying.
That matches his fastest lap time that he did in the practice session on Sunday. In fact, if I dive into the sim, his pole position time, Mike Dam, was a 20.2. He's lapping quicker than what he did in qualifying. Remarkable stuff from Mike Dam. He's just got to, well, as we know, catching is one thing, passing is another here. And after leading pretty much the entirety of this race, Kevin Ford is not going to give up this lead without a fight, you wouldn't think. So with 8 minutes to go, we've got everything we need for a fantastic, a barnstormer of a finish here in the final race meeting of the Ricmotech World Challenge. 1.4 seconds separating Kevin Ford and Mike Dam. On this lap, Dam has beaten Ford for time in Sector 1, in Sector 2, and in Sector 3 as well as he goes into the chicane. In fact, down that straight, it's now gone down to 1.4 seconds as Dam has a little bit of a blink and sets the hearts racing.
He doesn't want to start doing that to us now. Really doesn't want to start doing to that. What an onboard lap as well, though, just to say, just absolutely on the edge. But you've got to think as well, he's going quicker now than he did in qualifying, and he's on tyres that have been on that car for half an hour. It's just mad. The gap's actually just come down. It's for the first time in ages just gone under a second there. Oh, don't start doing this to us, Mike. Do not start doing this to us, Mike. We're going to be praying for the internet gods to stay true. With only 8 minutes, like you say, Adam. Not even that now, 7 minutes. It's getting very, very tasty indeed. And with Mike getting that close, though, you've got to think it could only be one opportunity on the slipstream, and he'll get it done. But earlier in the race, you saw him hold back a little bit. So, do you reckon he'll go for it at the first opportunity, or do you reckon he's got a couple of laps now in hand to just sort of play it safe for a minute?
I'd personally go in all guns blazing. However, that probably wouldn't go too well. It never did really. But we'll see what he does. Knowing how experienced Dam is, he'll probably take a cool and calculated approach to this. Same with Kevin Ford, because he's probably one of the most experienced drivers in the Ricmotech Sports Car Series, so I don't think we'll be seeing a pile-up on our hands. But we do see a good battle here, because Mike Dam just put in a new fastest sector, I should say, through Sector 3. Is he going to set a new fastest lap of the race? No, not this time. A 20.1, maybe a slightly poor final sector cost him that. But while this is going on, we should mention that the battle for the lead in the Mazdas is still pretty close as well. Just 0.4 of a second separating. There they are, just up the road, separating Tom Rathje and Rob Hartley. As here come the Mustangs. They're just right behind them. It's a classic scene from the Ricmotech series, Alex. The two leaders in the two classes fighting it out for the lead in the same camera shot.
Yeah, how often does that happen? So often. Oh, Dam just gets held up a little bit.
But surely Ford will be held up here.
Yeah, exactly. Evens itself out.
Rathje made a mistake as well, going over the crest, and now they're both going to be slipstreaming each other. You can see there that Ford goes over to the left to get out of the slipstream as quickly as possible, but there's nothing he can do about Dam now, and there's nothing Rathje can do about Hartley. They're probably both going to pull out at the same time. Side by side down the straight they go. That's Hartley ahead of Rathje then. They've got the Mustang getting involved as well. That's going to get quite tasty into there. Oh, the Mustang's got two wheels on the grass. He gets out of that very, very sensibly there. That could have been very scary. Russ Ruddock, in the meantime, by the way, has got up to 7th place ahead of Coffard, so he's actually making his way through the Mustangs now. As we look at our two race leaders then, Kevin Ford leading the way from a very blinky Dam, and that's... well, that's scary enough for us, but when you're trying to race him on track as well, it's probably a bit scary for Kevin Ford, as he's going to get held up behind another MX-5 here. That's not the ideal line around there for Kevin. He's not going to want to have done that, but Dam's going to go with him. Oh, that was pretty scary there for the MX-5, never mind us. These boys still going absolutely at it, and to see them doing it together on track as well, rather than just hot lapping like they've been doing for some of the races, just brilliant, isn't it, Adam?
It really is. Hammer and tongs, they're going at it now. Not too many laps to go either. On lap 95, I think we'll just not get 100 laps in the books here. This race has been run at a lightning pace, and now the gap is just 0.4 of a second between Kevin Ford and Mike Dam. What a way to end the season here in the Ricmotech World Challenge. Kevin Ford, who came close to winning the Sports Car Series a few years ago at Sebring. He won a race at Sebring, but very nearly won the title. Hasn't managed to emulate that recently, but he is doing very well here in the Ricmotech World Challenge. He's not going to win the title, but he has a very good chance of winning the final race of the season here today. As he goes through the final corner now onto lap 96 of the race. He put a new personal best in the first sector as well, and he makes a little bit of a mistake, does he? Kicks up the dirt and has to go across and feint a defensive move on Mike Dam. That was an instant point as well. And Mike Dam fancies his chances, but with blinking like that, going to make life doubly difficult for Kevin Ford to defend, because at some points he's not going to know where Mike Dam is.
No, he's deploying his invisibility cloak at this point. He's going to try and outdo him with any sort of black magic that he can conjure up, really. But he's got to just give it everything now as Ford. He's just got to really push to just try and keep whatever gap remains in place. But can you believe it? 2 hours and 12 minutes of racing, and it comes down to these last 3 minutes, these last couple of laps. It's absolutely great, and that's what you want to see from these championships. And like you say, to end the season on a high like this is very fitting, very, very fitting.
Times like these where in real life a driver would be praying for the engine to keep going. I think here Mike Dam's just praying for the internet keep going here for the new fastest sector 3 from Mike Dam, right up to the bumper of, right up to the rear wing of Kevin Ford as they go through the chicane. He disappears again, reappears through the final corner onto what will be the penultimate lap of the race, lap 98. 1 minute 20.3 for Dam on that last lap. Now into the first corner, up the hill towards the S's. This is where they were lapping the Mazda a few laps ago and caused a very much excitement in the commentary box. This is where Alex Simpson flipped the car over in the World Cup. Plunging down the hill up to the left-hander at the top of it, and then on the way towards the double apex right-hander. Kevin Ford using a lot of the curb.
Tell you what, it may be 3:15 in the morning in the UK, but this is probably the most awake I've been in hours. This is really feisty stuff. Now, Dam's down the inside. He's actually side by side. He's got the overlap. 2 wheels on the curb, nearly contact. Oh, he lights up the rears, though. He lights up the rears, but he's going to get slipstream off the car in front.
Well, this is going to be interesting. Yeah, this is... Is it Coffard in front? I think it is. They've just breezed by him as if he wasn't there. I think he wanted to steer clear of it, really. Wheel-to-wheel stuff here. They're almost touching as they get on the brakes into the chicane. Ford on the inside, Dam on the outside. Oh. Ford the brakes, and he just about makes the corner. Slide job, really, on Mike Dam there. White flag is going to be in the air. We're going to be starting lap 98, and it's circling him. He's like a piranha, like a shark almost, and they both go off as they come through the final corner to get the last lap.
And shades of Murray Walker there off. They're both off when the two Toyotas at each other at Brands Hatch years ago, but this is a bit different to that now. You've got Ford absolutely giving it everything. Dam giving it everything. Trying everything he can do, but it's just, this has been a hell of a defensive effort by Ford this entire race. And on such a difficult circuit as well. It's so hard to get a lap together, lap after lap here. You look at them using every bit of track they can find. But it seems like Ford's got a little bit of an advantage here, but you've got to think with Dam starting further back when it comes to the slipstream, that he's actually he may be more of an advantage because he'll get a better run up. As we see Hartley then coming out the last corner with it's Rathje behind him, and I think that Dam has lit it up on the exit there. We saw his little number in the top left go red, and I think he might have blown it. Actually, Adam. I think he might have just, he's completely outdone it there. Real shame. But I'll tell you what, it's been a truly deserving win this for Ford. He's just driven impeccably all race. Couple of little mistakes, but it happens to the best of us. And that was one of the best races I've commentated on. Kevin Ford, then your race winner from Mike Dam. Brilliant performance by those boys. You've got to give it to them. That was absolutely fantastic racing. And that's really what you want to see from this series, and it's provided excellent stuff. And like you said before, Adam, what a way to round it out.
And just to show that Kevin Ford was on it right to the very end, putting a new personal best on the last lap of the race. Just a quick glimpse there at the battle for the lead in the Mustang, in the Mazdas. But here is the current race leader in the Ford Mustangs, Clint Vigas. Jeff Jacobs has already crossed the line to finish in second, so it means that Clint Vigas cannot be caught. Going to come through the final corner now. Shows you the advantage that he has. But look at this. This is by no means over. Tom Rathje on the outside. Rob Hartley on the inside going into the final chicane. The car on the outside trying to get the move done. Up the inside. Through. Rathje is through into the final chicane. And what a final lap that has been in the Mazda MX-5 class. Through the final corner we go. Hartley's trying to somehow find a way through on the outside and then cuts to the inside. But the finish line comes up way too quickly. And it means that Tom Rathje wins the final race meeting of the season in the Mazda MX-5 class. Clint Vigas wins the Mustangs too. And I think we're just waiting on Eric Violet to come across the line. Here he is. And Nathan Thomas too. And then I think that is it as Kevin Ford comes up to the start-finish line. Are we going to see some donuts from our race winner as Mike Dam comes into the pits? I think it's been a fully deserved drive, enough to do donuts. I think he's trying to turn the traction control off, is he? Something like that. There he's trying. He's trying his best. There it is. And Mike Dam's showing it how it's done in the pit lane as well. What a way to finish this season.
Yeah, fantastic display by those guys there. That was epic racing. That was the sort of chase that you want to see within motorsport, and it really had everyone. Well, it had us. I mean, I was clawing at my desk with those last few laps there, just willing it on for Dam to get even closer. But you've got to give it to the race winner at the end of the day. Ford just drove really, really well, defended exactly where he needed to, and he got the job done. And it's a really, really well-deserved win. You can't take that away from him. But damn, just with that pace was just unreal. That was a fantastic drive. But he's going to be obviously looking back on those mistakes, the incident he got involved in, speeding in the pit lane, and you've got to think what could have been if he hadn't made those mistakes.
Indeed, yeah. Let's not forget that Dan was probably the best part of a minute behind Kevin Ford once all those penalties and the penalty for speeding and the penalty for the collision had shaped itself out. But that didn't hinder him at all. And here are the results on the screen. I don't think they're in the middle of the screen, but
No, I'm not sure what's going on there.
They'll do, but it's got all the necessary information on the screen. Kevin Ford then wins. Mike Dam in second, a second separation in the end. Maybe the tyres just finally ran out on that final lap there for Mike Dam, but a great drive nonetheless to get the gap down to just 9/10 by the end. Clint Vigers finishes in third, but wins the Ford Mustang class. And Jeff Jacobs finishing in second. Frank Alessi in third in the Booligan racing car. And Chris Torman for CT Racing in fourth. Russell Ruddock did manage to gate crash the Ford Mustangs in the end by finishing in seventh place overall. And then Alex Coffard finishing in eighth place overall, but the fifth of the Mustangs. And then Tom Rathje winning by what it says on my timing screen. It says less than a tenth, about 900ths were in it in the end between himself and Rob Hartley. Eric Violet finishing in third, Brandon Whitworth fourth, Bobby Childs in fifth. Nathan Thomas crashed earlier with Russ Ruddock, but managed to soldier on and finish in the last classified position. Of course, Ryan Cobb listed there on the final results, but he was today's steward. That's how things finished in the final race meeting of the season in the Ricmotech World Challenge. Drivers will be told what is going to be happening for next season. The hint is in the world of sports car racing relative to the two Ricmotech series. It only makes sense to take the next step and make this exciting change to the series. Whatever change that is, we're looking forward to it. And if it delivers the same sort of racing that we've seen tonight at Road Atlanta, then I think it'll be a welcome addition. And just looking at the interview area, no interviews yet, of course, because we're on the Apex Discord, aren't we, today, Alex? So
yeah, just for those that have got it, obviously head on over here. It's worth doing it as well, because if ever we have to have cover, obviously Chaz volunteers to cover us as well. We can't get them in on the TeamSpeak straight away, so yeah, do pop over, say hello. We'll chat to you guys if you can get over it. I don't quite know what's going on with that results screen, but that's gone awry, hasn't it, somewhat? So.
Yeah, someone's put a magnet on the right-hand side. Brilliant stuff, though, from all those guys tonight. And just to reiterate something I said before as well, it just shows that you don't have to have a big field of cars to provide exciting racing. All it takes is two guys going absolutely hammer and tongs at it, and it gets people on the edges of their seats. And it was a beautiful display of that, and what a way to round out the season by showing that that's what it's all about. And yeah, it was just really, really good performance, and I was really, really entertained by that, and it's been an absolute pleasure to commentate on it. So it's to all the drivers and everything, thank you very much. It's been a great show.
Yeah, Kevin Ford picks up his first win of the season. In fact, 4 top 5s over the course of the campaign. So yeah, that was the first win. In fact, Mike Dam won 4 of them. Managed to get past Kevin Ford on that last lap. It would have been his 5th win of the season. So wonder what that'll do to Kevin Ford. I wonder if that'll elevate the driver. It will elevate him up the standings. In terms of the GTS, which is the Ford Mustangs, Vigas in the end won it. Won the race anyway. Drives for Meh Motorsports, who sits in second, 13 points behind Driftline, and with Nathan Thomas finishing way down the order in 14th place. I do wonder that I think this means that Clint Vigas is the Mustang champion for this late change there. But I think with the difference in positions, with Vigas finishing in 3rd place overall and Thomas finishing in 14th, think that is probably enough to tip the balance in the men motorsports favour, I think, Chaz.
Yeah, it should be. Looking at it that way, it should be just enough to get it done for him. She'll be very, very, very chuffed with that. Nice way to get it at the end of the season.
Got person, yeah, we got Mike Dan that's hopped over to the Discord to join us now. Well, Mike, that's probably one of the best performances I've seen. Probably not just in this series, but in any of the stuff that we've done on Apex Racing TV. Really, here, I think you're a good 3/4 of a minute behind Kevin Ford, and you managed to get it down to 9/10 of a second in the end. It's just a shame that you couldn't get a win at the end.
Yeah, I put my head down there, and I shouldn't have been that far behind in the first place. I made a bad pit exit there, almost lost it, and then had to obviously do a stop and go for that. And then I just made a dumb mistake. I just ran into Bobby there, and that was just stupid. So I deserved, the penalties I got, but I just after that put my head down and it was a race.
Also had a minor worry about the internet as well very early on in the race. You'd vanished for I'd probably say a good half a lap, and we thought that you might have been gone from the session, but you managed to recover and get yourself back on the circuit without getting thrown out of the server.
Yeah, I was lucky there. A couple more seconds and I would have been out. I mean, it happens. I mean, some guys get booted from races. It sucks, but I mean, all it takes is, bad internet connection for, 30 seconds. We look at it as a, mechanical failure. So let's say I got away with one there. And, luckily, I was good for the rest of the race.
In terms of the season as a whole, 4 wins, plus you end up winning the title as well. Pretty successful, and I'm sure you'll be hoping for more of the same next season with what's being planned.
Yeah, this was a good season, being the first kind of being the launch of the World Challenge Series. So I'm hoping that after this starting next season, we're going to get a lot more entries. We should have much more competitive fields with a lot more cars, so that should be pretty awesome. We're just trying to grow this thing, and it's a good start.
Great. And before you go tonight, do you want to send a quick shout out to anybody?
Yeah, tonight I'm gonna just give a shout out to Kevin. Put on a great race there, a great battle at the end there. The last couple of laps, I was putting my foot into it, and he was able to hold me back. So that was a pretty awesome ending there.
Great. Well done on the performance today, and it very nearly came off. And well done on your driving all season. Pretty top notch, and yeah, hopefully we get to see you on the grid next season.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Thanks for broadcasting this stuff. It's means a lot.
No worries.
Have a good night.
Mike Dam there, and I think that might be it. So I do know that the Ricmotech people want to get the announcement for next season to the drivers. I know they'll be telling them that after the race. So I think that might mean that we can wrap it up here. But Alex, final thoughts from yourself. It's as Chaz has been saying after the race, it's you didn't need the entries, but it was a very, very successful race nonetheless, and a great finish in both the Mazda MX-5 and the Porsche Classic.
Yeah, it was a good race tonight. Really enjoyed. Good season all round, actually. Kind of first time the guys have sort of dabbled in this as well, and knowing Ricmotech as we do, I'm sure what they're about to let the drivers know and things like that is going to be quite a step forward. So we look forward to covering it next season. I think two smaller seasons from what we've heard throughout the year. So yeah, it should be exciting.
And Chaz, tonight on Apex Racing TV on Tuesday, it's the BSR MX-5 heads to I think it heads to Donington, doesn't it?
It does indeed, yeah. I actually took part in one of their practice races yesterday evening, and I've not actually witnessed them lot on track yet. And let me tell you, it's lively. So I feel much safer up in the booth watching it than I would on track. But yeah, really looking to watch. Looking forward, to watching them guys around there. It's a great circuit. Obviously, everyone loves Donington. Don't really know anyone that doesn't. And yeah, the MX-5 is quite nicely suited to there. So yeah, really looking forward to that. Just need to get some kip in between, I think.
Definitely, I think we could we've earned a rest here after what we've seen on the track today. So my thanks to Chaz for joining me. My thanks to Alex as well, as always, for doing the cameras and for adding in some valuable insight over the course of the evening. And thank you all for watching. I know some of you are based in Europe, and it's very late night where you are, especially if you're on mainland Europe. It's probably coming up to 4:30 in the morning there. So well done you. And of course, everybody watching in North America, thanks for watching too. And make sure to give us a subscribe and a like, and make sure you click the bell as well, and you'll be notified when we are live for the other events that we've got on Apex Racing TV. Like Chaz was mentioning, the BSR MX-5 tomorrow night, or tonight if you're in Europe. The BSR MX-5 heads to Donington Park, and then Thursday, BSRTC at Watkins Glen, the showdown in full swing. Who wouldn't want to miss that on? Make sure you join us for that too. But for now, from all of us here at Road Atlanta, from me, from Alex, and from Chaz, good night.